Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. I think we've got a show that will be of interest to especially people here in Canada as we dig in once again into this crazy ostrich story out in Edgewood, British Columbia, where the Supreme Court ruling on whether they will hear an appeal on the cull order for the flock of ostriches out at Universal Ostrich Farm remains in limbo. We don't have a decision even now, but I think it is imminent. What is today? The 2nd? I think we were talking about a deadline of maybe the 3rd or whatever for paperwork to be filed. So a decision maybe, who knows, any minute, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. And I don't know where all that will land. But to help us make sense of all that tonight, we have
about responsible spending or partisan disagreement. View like it's a political time the media, bomb. As always, floods you with distractions, pointless culture wars, political theater, manufactured scandals, but they won't touch one of the most notorious predators. And here it is: the American government, under both Democrats and Republicans, has built an economy on theft from the poor and the middle to fund the insatiable appetite of the rich. The most glaring example: Donald Trump's 2017 tax cut.
Professor Richard Wolff really wants to take over our broadcast. That is the second time in a few days that video has just suddenly started to run. We're having some pretty weird things happen around here. I have conspiracy theories about why I think that's happening, some of which are probably true, but I don't really want to get into that tonight because we do have, as I was saying, now that Professor Richard Wolff has stopped his video bombing of our program. Rudy Bruce is going to join us. Trucker, political activist, freedom activist, freedom convoyer, and now an animal rights activist of sorts, because he's come down again on the side of saving the ostriches from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, Government of Canada cull. So stay with us. When we come back on the other side, we're going to have an in-depth conversation about this tonight, and we'll find out why Rudy has become so entrenched in his, in this view, this firm view that he has now, that he feels these ostriches need to be saved.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, we're going to bring somebody up on the screen, and he is not video bombing us like Professor Wolff, who wants to be on this program in the worst way, apparently. But Rudy Bruce returns. Hello, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm good, Rick. How are you doing?
I'm just fine. Welcome back to the program. And thank you for joining us again tonight as we dig into this ostrich story from Edgewood, British Columbia. You have, become again, and I would say in the last week, 2 weeks, maybe, you've become pretty active and taking on kind of a lead role, I would say, in terms
Oh
of
no, no.
no, I mean, when that's maybe a bad choice of words. You're one of the more prominent influencers out there, because you're posting regularly right now about saving these ostriches. And so, at least in my feed, maybe it's just the algorithm, but your stuff has been popping up all like a lot. So I'm
It seems
seeing
to
it.
do that sometimes.
Yeah. So you've been
I
pretty,
don't know why.
pretty aggressive about it. And wow, like Rudy is really digging his heels in on this now after, because we'd had,
Yeah.
a couple of previous conversations about it. And we mutually raised some questions about what was
Sure,
going on out there.
sure.
So I thought, well, let's get you back on, because I think we're getting near the end of whatever is going on out there, this crazy protest and all the, the CFIA and all the police going out there and helicopters, and, it's quite a show. I'll say that. So I thought, well, let's get Rudy back on, have another conversation, find out where you're at with what you're thinking about it tonight. So I'll throw it over to you, and just just give me an opening statement. Let me find out where you're at with this.
Well, when we went through COVID-19, and we all experienced that, we really went through a lot of understanding about government manipulation and the rest of it. Okay. I mean, we had people committing suicide. We had people losing their jobs. I mean, it was quite an ordeal, okay, for the whole of society of Canada. Now, with these birds now, I mean, they went in and they tested 2 dead birds. Okay. Now, me and you, we already covered all the angles on this regarding this. And there are flaws and there are some interesting facts about this. But if they're not willing to, I mean, because these are not poultry, these are ostriches, okay? This is not like your normal everyday bird. I mean, farm animal. Okay, these are a different breed. Okay, I'll say that.
Okay, stop. I need you to stop.
Sure.
Just a moment.
Sure.
You said something there that I think is a key component to this that is demonstrably not true.
What's that?
You said ostriches are not poultry.
Well, they're not chickens. I'm saying that they're not chickens. Okay, these are ostriches, not chickens.
Okay, but you
that's
use
what I
the
mean.
term they're not poultry, and that is important, because out there at the farm, what they've done in the last, but let me explain why it's important.
Sure.
They at the farm, they have had people chanting that phrase, ostriches are not poultry. I mean, it's almost like hypnosis. So they've got these people all around.
What that means is they're not chickens. They're not like on the food plate. They're not on the food plate like chickens. Okay, they're not being consumed like chickens. They're not being dealt with like chickens. Okay, so there's a separation there of what these are and what that is. Okay,
that's what they want you to think at the farm.
Well, that is what's happening. That's the crook of it. Okay, I mean they're standing on.
That's what they're saying.
That's what they're standing on.
But it's not true.
Okay,
it's not true, and it's important. It's important to. This is an important point. They want people to keep saying that they're not poultry for a reason. Do you know why?
Why? Why do you think they are poultry?
Because they are poultry. They are classified as poultry. Every country in the world recognizes ostriches as poultry.
Okay. But they're not like a chicken. These are different, than normal chickens. Okay. I just want to make that point, that these are not like chickens. These are big ostrich thing, I mean, a whole different breed, put it that way. Anyway, what it boils down to is they do not want to test these birds. Now, for the last 9 months, we've watched these birds acting extremely healthy.
Hang on, I'm not done with the poultry thing, because it's a very important thing, and you froze up on the internet, so we lost connection with you there.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's an important it's important to them that people not think of them as poultry, because they want them reclassified, even though it's demonstrably not true. They are poultry. Ostriches are poultry, classified as poultry. They are treated as poultry.
Well,
by
they're a
the
bird.
USDA, by
I gotta say
CFIA,
that.
by Ag Canada.
Yeah,
They're
they are a
poultry.
bird.
And so,
I mean, I can say that they are a bird.
But it's not just, not all birds are poultry, but they are poultry, and they are food. They're in the food chain. They're considered to be in the food chain. They're a bird that is in the ag. It's in the ag business. And that farm was set up as an ostrich farm where they were selling the birds for food, and they are classified as poultry. And
that's how they first went into this. That's my understanding as well.
Partly, yes. And so for years they sold those birds as food, and those birds are classified as poultry. And as such, they fall under certain regulations for food safety and all kinds of other, for trading regulations, and for a lot of different reasons, they're classified as poultry. They don't want them classified as poultry because they're trying to find any way they can to undermine the system, to find some loophole or some way to have these birds not fall under the criteria for a cull. So if they can get them reclassified as not poultry, then, it's their view clearly that these rules for the cull will be undermined and they won't apply. So they're trying to say they're not poultry, but they are poultry, and people can say it all they want. But I showed people even on the program last night that they are. Like, that's just a fact.
Rick, I can listen.
Yeah,
I can agree with you. They're a bird. Okay. I can agree with you there. They're a bird. Okay. But they're not the same as a chicken. Okay.
Yeah, but they're
not the same.
But either as a turkey
or as a turkey, poultry. They're not the same as a turkey either.
Right.
They're a different breed. Poultry. This is a whole different breed than you would say normal, like turkeys and chickens and stuff like that. Okay. It's not every day you go in and look for an ostrich egg,
some people
or whatever.
And it's
maybe, but I don't do that myself.
No, it's a niche.
I don't do that myself. I don't go in there and I start looking for that biggest egg that I could find. You know what I mean? I mean, this is a whole different you just kettle of fish.
Right here. Okay. Yes. Ostriches are considered poultry because they are domesticated birds raised for their meat, eggs, and feathers. While their meat is red and has a taste and texture similar to beef, and despite their large size, they fit the definition of poultry used by organizations like the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, which still would even be RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz, those guys. I mean, their systems still to this day classify them as poultry. And it's important for regulatory purposes, for the purposes of this argument, for, that they're making. And it's demonstrably, it's written down. It's just it's not the Gulf of Mexico anymore. It's the Gulf of America. No, these are poultry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's important. So anyway,
that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. Okay.
Yep.
But when it comes to this cull order, this culling of all these animals, okay, and the way that these guys have shown their hand with this already, okay. Now, as I was saying, last 9 months or so, the footage of these birds, they're acting healthy, they're being healthy, they're doing what ostriches do, okay. I mean, you could tell a sick animal from a non-sick animal just by looking at them sometimes. You know what I mean? Especially with cattle, all right? And what they do with cattle every day is they go into the pens and they eyeball the cattle. They're looking for any kind of illness or sickness or whatever and try and catch it as soon as possible, okay, from the animal. They'll take that animal out and then they'll take it to the sick part of the sick pen or whatever, and they'll deal with, what they got to do, okay? But they're dealing with the sicknesses of different whatever, all right? They're not going in and saying, "Oh, look at that, their cow is sick there," and they kill off the entire friggin' herd. Okay, they pretty much treat the sickness and then carry on with whatever they're doing with the animal. Okay,
It depends on the illness. I mean, if it's a mad cow disease outbreak,
but
they've
it's a
been known to.
medical system. Okay, it's a medical system to determine the health of the animal. Okay,
But it's more complicated than whether the bird is like ill. It's not just about whether you can look at them and say, "Oh, that bird's sick." It's more complicated than
well,
that. There's more.
all these animals have to be regularly, I mean, every day, looked at as far as health is
Sure.
concerned,
Yeah.
and the whole 9 yards. Okay,
Mhm.
now, I mean, I mean, there was a lady that had done a live video or a video, and sure, she had this go through her flock. Okay, but now I'm telling this rough because you know what I mean, but she managed to save, I don't know how many I don't know who this is. Can I just mute myself for a second? Hold on. I'm sorry, that was a wrong number. Go figure. Anyway, are we still going? Or did you freeze up? Okay, now you're going. Oh, I can't hear you.
Can't hear me? Can you hear me
There,
now?
now I can hear you. Now I can hear you. Everything's good.
Okay.
So as I was saying, on the medical end of it, these farm that lady, I was talking about that lady. So she saved, I don't know, 4 or 5 birds or whatever the case was. She never phoned in about her problem.
This is a different farm or this
Yeah,
farm?
just for different farm, different story altogether. But she came out with her story
Okay.
and said these birds are healthy. They've got a herd immunity in them. Okay, but they're healthy birds, so they got over the sickness. So this disease that they're talking about, I mean, some animals seem to have a healthy immune system, whereas others don't. I mean, that's the same in society. Okay, some people have a healthy immune system and some people don't.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Not everybody is going to make it when some disease comes out. You know, maybe some people will, but it depends on how healthy you are and depends on a lot of factors. And this is the approach I think there should be in this as well, a scientific approach instead of just, well, let's do away with them. I mean, if they've gotten over the disease, why bother killing them? If they've gotten over it, if they had it, and now it's all speculation whether they had it or not had it. Okay, it all goes into a speculation, right? A mystery, if you will. Well, let's solve the mystery.
No,
Simply test them and find out what's what. What's so
except
hard
that
about that?
because, well, there are a lot of reasons why, and I
Well,
can play the devil's advocate here.
the one
Um,
simple fact of this is that once you kill them, that's it. That's all. But
no.
if you keep them alive and you can do this research that you want to do and maybe put it
Well,
into proper conditions, whatever,
okay,
but
let's just slow
you can
down.
do that.
Let's slow down a little bit.
But once you kill them, you're dead. It's, no recourse.
So what you're saying is you're putting forth the argument that I've heard that these birds are unique because they've survived this
Mhm.
virus.
If they
And
had it, if they had it.
okay, well,
There's no
we
saying they had it. Okay. We can't say that they had it or not. They haven't been tested at all. So, unless you have a firm thing on the table that says,
Rudy, why do you think they don't test
hang
every
on a
bird?
second. Hang on a second. What? Just a minute. Hang on. Hang on a second.
Sure.
She asked me if I could get her smoked. I said, hold on, I'll let you know.
Here. Okay. Okay. We're okay. Carry on, Rick,
All right.
with what you're saying.
Why do you think
Yeah,
they don't test every bird?
I have no idea, but I mean, every bird counts, right? I mean, you know what I mean? I think when you bring life into the world, whether it be an animal or whatever, there should be a measure of respect to whatever life we have. We have a duty as humans to protect the animals. You know, that's part of the gig as well. Um, so when you okay, so you know, protecting the animals, that's a very important factor as well, because they need we're all in this to share the world together and live in harmony together. And that's the main thing, right? Living in harmony. What happened there? Did I lose you or something or what? Very important factor as
Yeah, I'm
well,
back, and
because they
Rudy's back as well.
we're in this shared world together.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're
Hi.
back. Your internet
Okay.
froze up again.
So yeah, but where we left off was, as humans, we have a responsibility to live in cohabitation with the wildlife.
okay.
You know, we have a responsibility to.
Well, this isn't wildlife. These
No, but I'm just talking about animals in general. Okay, species in general. We're not the only ones on this earth. Okay,
right.
we have a duty as stewards to protect them as well, whether they're being
Yeah.
livestock or whatever. I
Sure.
mean, we don't
And
want to produce
yeah, you want to treat
a
them
breed of
humanely.
animals that are you know Frankenstein's. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I
really?
mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But there are people, there are scientists, mad scientists, that want to go to that extreme
Uh-huh.
and duplicate.
It's
You know, go with the genetics and all
It's
this.
interesting you say that, because
Yeah,
did you know that when that
yeah.
farm was first established, they were participating in a study with the University of British Columbia into genetics?
Mhm.
Yeah, genetics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
where are those studies today?
Exactly.
What do you mean
So,
exactly?
well, yeah. I mean,
Do you know
I
what the
mean,
studies are, Rudy?
no. I'm just saying that.
Okay, no, let me explain something to you.
Sure, go ahead.
The farm was when the farm was first established, they imported these ostriches from another country. UBC was involved with a government funded study of some kind into genetics. Dr. Pellick, even, I asked him about it when he was on this program. And right now, if you want to find the results of those studies into genetics, okay, which was done through that farm with I guess even those ostriches, because they're supposed to have been that old. You can't find the studies because they've mysteriously disappeared.
Wow.
They've
Interesting. That's
either
interesting.
been destroyed or lost. And I would say that Dr. Pellick was, well, he says that's not uncommon, but it is uncommon.
Mhm.
Right. For a study like that to just poof, vanish. So from the very beginning, that farm has been involved in exactly what you say you're opposed to, which is creating Frankenbirds.
Well, that was the you remember the what do you call clones? The cloning, the lambs. They clone these lambs and blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. You know, and stuff like that. Well, where do they stop with this?
Well, exactly.
And
Now,
it went
with regard
ahead.
to the ostriches, I don't know
Yeah.
what they were doing with those. Nobody
Yeah.
knows what they were
Yeah.
doing with regard to those ostriches, because they were doing genetic research of some kind. And we don't know because the studies are not being made available to us.
Well, back I don't know how many years now, maybe
It was
10
back in
years
like I
ago.
think the 1990s.
Yeah, it
That
was
far
back
back.
a little ways, and then we started hearing these things about. They started making movies actually about it. I mean, about these cloning farms, and people found out they were clones, or they didn't find out, but they
Yeah.
found out something, and they tried to escape, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And different fashions of cloning going on, like duplicates and all
Yeah,
this
and I'm not saying
through
that they
through
were
the
involved in
shows.
cloning at that farm, but there was some sort of genetic research that was taking
Yeah,
place.
okay, but I'm
And
just
and I
talking
and
about
I
movies
I
and
I have to
shows.
clarify that when I use the word
Yeah,
Frankenbird,
yeah,
that's maybe a bit of an exaggeration because
yeah.
I don't know what the studies were about,
Well,
but that's
no,
my
no,
concern. We don't
no.
know what those genetic studies were about
No, we
at
seen
that time.
things that I don't know if they're real or not, but they crossbred this with that, and it didn't come out so
No, no,
great.
Rudy, I am talking specifically about the ostrich farm in Edgewood,
Mhm.
B.C.
Yeah.
They did
Okay.
genetic research there on the with
Okay.
those ostriches.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but
I know you don't. That's why I'm telling you about it.
yeah. Okay.
And I'm
But
telling you that those studies, we don't know the history of those birds
yeah.
because dating back to the very beginning of the farm's existence, because the studies have disappeared or have been destroyed. The question I have is why? And
Yeah, that's a good
and
question.
I still want to know what the
Yeah,
heck
that's a
were
good
they doing
question.
with those birds as far back as I think it was the 1990s, whenever that farm first was created. So they were
Hmm.
now it just may have been like selective breeding or something like that, which is not uncommon. And it's not uncommon to do that kind of research with farm animals. And
Hmm.
there's certainly been a lot of that has gone on with chickens and turkeys to create
Cattle.
and cattle to create cows that produce huge amounts of milk.
Yeah, pigs. They were
Breeding,
doing it with pigs. They still do it today
that kind of
with
stuff.
pigs.
But I don't know what those studies were. It concerns me, especially when we see later, in later years, they end up doing this COVID research out there at that
Mhm.
farm as well, all without real oversight, without permits, injecting the birds with COVID antigens. And so we don't really know what has really, we know some of what was done, but we don't know the totality of the experimentation that was done on these birds. And they're still selling them to people as food while they're doing this. This is these are things we spoke about before. They're not talking about that at the farm right now.
No,
Why?
no.
Why don't they talk about that? Because that just
Well, they're going on
kind
the
of
angle
undermines
of
the narrative.
research of these birds. That's their angle now. That's what
Yeah,
it
that
is
doesn't hold any
about.
water either, and I'll explain
You
why.
know.
But you go ahead and tell me why you think
Well,
those birds are valuable for
they're.
research.
I think when you are talking about a certain breed, okay, like these are a unique breed.
Are they?
Uh, I mean, that's what they claim that
No,
they're kind of like the dinosaur. You know.
they're all birds are dinosaurs.
Okay. Well, then that's true, I guess, right?
They're rats.
So a lot of
They
that
have
genetics,
birds that
a lot
fly
of
have
that
hollow
genetics
bones. They're
would hit these
you know,
birds too, right? So from a genetic standpoint, they're kind of a
there's
unique
nothing unique
thing.
about them that way at all.
I
Well, there
mean,
just isn't.
I don't think you run down the highway and see a lot of ostrich farms. I mean,
Yeah, you
there's not
don't see
that
a lot
many
in
in Canada.
Canada. Yeah,
There's what?
because
Oh, I think there's only two,
yeah,
isn't there?
but there are lots of ostriches in the world.
Oh, for sure. Okay,
Gabillions.
I'm not saying that that's not true, but I'm just saying in Canada, there's only
Yeah.
two farms that I'm aware of,
Oh, there's more
right?
than that. And there's
There's
one
more
about
than that.
oh, yes, there are many more. And in fact, that farm has supplied the breeding stock for about 20% of all the ostrich farms in Canada because it is not just a small family farm. It is the largest ostrich farm in Canada.
Okay, so
And it's big, big business.
I guess we have an abundance of ostrich then. You know,
Well, in the world we do, and they certainly have them in Japan because
okay,
Dr. Tsukamoto does research there. They have them in the United States.
yeah,
They have there's some up in Niagara Falls area. There's one about 100 kilometers or so just from Edgewood and the Edgewood farm there because I called the farm there because Edgewood supplied that farm with their ostriches, and then also talked to them about getting into the research end of it, and they had started to inject those birds too at another location.
I didn't know about that.
I had the woman on the phone. I spoke to her. I didn't put her on, but I did speak to her directly. And she was pretty concerned because when all this is going down, she could see that maybe there were some things going on out there that maybe weren't quite within the rules. So you could tell she wasn't exactly sure where it left them as a family business. The ostrich farm was a sideline. They also run sort of a tourist attraction out there too in this other town. It's only about 100 kilometers away, and they're friends. And I felt really terrible for the lady because she's very distraught when I called her, upset because she could see all the problems that had been, surfacing out at the farm in Edgewood because of all the research. See, they were told that it was a business opportunity. It wasn't about selling the birds for meat so much at that point. It's about selling those eggs. Because when they inject those birds with the COVID antigen, they sell those, eggs for big money.
The one problem that me and you established on the previous shows that we did was that how does this even happen? That people can get these antigens and shove it into their cattle or whatever.
Well, exactly.
Okay? How does that happen? Okay.
Yeah, I asked Dr. Pellick that, and I think he lied. That's my take on it.
I'll go so far as to say that.
Yeah,
okay?
How does that
happen?
He told me that anybody can get them, and that you don't need permits to run.
So you looked into that. You couldn't get them.
I did. Yeah, I couldn't get them. I tried. Yeah. I tried. I phoned labs. He said you could get them at the pharmacy. I called the pharmacies. I called many. I called laboratories. Do you know where they got their antigens from?
Well, they said some company in Montreal or Quebec or something.
Originally, yes. They were working with a company out there, and that went on for a little while. That company was involved in antibody research with poultry, including mainly chickens. And then when they got connected with the farm out in BC, they started supplying antigens so they could start testing and doing some of the work for them in conjunction with that university. Then that lab in Quebec was sold, and when the new owners operating it took a look at what was going on, they made a decision to just end it because for whatever reason, and we're not exactly sure why, they decided that it wasn't the kind of research that they wanted to be involved with. So then they started to get the antigens directly from Japan. Now, I don't know if they even had proper permits and had to have that stuff imported because clearly the government wasn't aware because they asked them about those antigens and because that's the other reason they need these birds saved. They invested a huge amount of money. I don't remember the exact amount. It might have been 50 grand, could be 100. I'd have to look it up. This is all off the top of my head. This information is out there in the public domain. You can find it. They've talked about it themselves. So they pre-purchased a large stockpile of the antigens, which they were keeping at the farm. So when the CFIA went out there, they didn't know anything about this. So they asked the farm owners about what they were doing, and they said, "Oh, so you have these antigens, and where do you store them?" And then they told them, and they said, "Well, we'll be coming for those too. They'd confiscate those as evidence." For whatever. So they're pretty upset about that, obviously, because they're going to lose their inventory because they need to inject that stuff in order to get the birds to produce the artificially induced COVID antibodies in those eggs so that they can sell them to the research facility, to the university in Japan, or to anybody else that wants to buy those eggs in order to do COVID research. Because that's the kind of antigen it is. It's a COVID antigen. Not bird flu, COVID. That's what they were working on. And if they don't use it up, they're out all that money.
Well, my standing, and I agree with you, that anybody into doing this kind of a thing of research, you're inoculating animals with whatever and whatever. There should have been a classification of knowing what's going on here. I mean,
yeah,
I would think, you know what I mean? I mean, if you're running a lab thing, and it's open air and you're out in the middle of nowhere
I agree.
I would certainly like to know that there's some kind of regulations going on that you have to go through a certain process to get to that stage. Okay.
Yes.
Especially if it's open air. Okay.
Yeah. Or even
Now,
even in a building, if you're going to do that kind of research,
yeah. Okay.
especially into a new virus like COVID.
Yeah.
And when they started doing it, we knew very little about it. We still don't know that much about it.
So we need to clear the air with this catastrophe. And I'm going to call it a catastrophe because, I mean, how do you start doing that kind of thing? I mean, in the middle of nowhere, and then not come up and explain it. You know,
no, I agree.
And I gave her the floor. I said,
yeah.
you know, you can come on the show. Katie, I said, come on the show, explain to them, because I'm not a scientist and I'm not a doctor. I don't know.
Right.
I'm a layman guy. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm a guy that appreciates animals.
Sure.
Okay.
Emotional.
And who doesn't? Everybody. I mean, this goes as far as your pets, even. Okay.
Of course, we're just talking about our dogs, right?
The government in this past COVID thing, as I talked about, I mean, they have overstretched themselves into a mistrust between the public and the government, and then this kind of thing comes along, and who's caught in the crossfire but these animals? Okay. And it was done because of mankind, right? Well, now it's time to get to the bottom of what's really going on here, as far as are they really sick, what they have, and everything else. But now they've been under the care for the last, I don't know, 5 days or more.
You froze up there.
I froze up again. Am I back again?
You are back.
Yeah. Okay. But now they've been in the care of the CFIA there for 5-10 days, and they've been being mistreated because they don't know.
Oh, have they?
Well, yeah, because they're not ostrich experts. Okay.
Aren't they?
These are the farmers are talking about this
stuff. At least they know that they're poultry.
But they're talking about the misuse of what's going on.
Oh, well, Rudy, when I'm looking at that, I see that's certainly a spin that they're putting on things. And I've seen words like torture used. The reality is the CFIA.
They covered up. They were the ones, listen, they were the ones that enticed it. Okay. They covered up the cameras. Okay. They covered up the cameras. We're getting into something else.
Back it up. Sure, because we're getting into something before we even deal with this.
Go ahead. Oh, you froze. Are you unfroze yet? Or maybe, I don't know. I just got to hang tight here. Rick, I think Rick froze up. I don't know. He froze up on my end anyway. There he is. Okay.
You got me back? Okay.
I got you back.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. Seen influencers saying that those birds are being tortured. Literally, that was the word. Mistreated, not fed properly. And in reality, Rudy, the CFIA is bending over backwards to accommodate the concerns of the farm owners, the ostrich owners, because of their property, by the CFIA brought feed, no cost to the farmers, that they were going to feed those ostriches. And they said, oh, no, they can't eat that. That's not good enough. You have to feed them this other stuff. They said, okay. And they let them bring in their feed. They have veterinarians there working with the CFIA who are experts, animal experts. And they are bound by law to make sure that they treat those birds humanely. So they're under the supervision of veterinarians and through the CFIA, and they are actually providing the exact kind of food that the farm owners are requesting to accommodate that. They're saying, oh, well, these birds were dehydrated. This one was sick. So they were like, okay, they even let the farm owners come in a couple of times to see a couple of the birds, even though they don't really want them in there. They did allow that. And then, because they were concerned about hydration, they even allowed the farm owners to bring them electrolytes, which they accommodated, again, the farm owners by administering the electrolytes to the birds that the farm owners felt required it. So you can't tell me that they're abusing them. They're doing everything that the farm owners basically are asking them to do in terms of nutrition, hydration, the terms of care.
Well,
so the footage
the footage I'm seeing is not like that. They're acting a lot more docile. Okay.
Or so they
on the cameras.
They're not look acting, how lethargic they are. They're torturing them.
No, they're not acting like they were before. I mean, they were much more moving around and stuff. Now,
because,
they're under stress.
Why? What's changed?
I can see they're under stress.
Under stress?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now there's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Are these farm owners Muslims?
Muslims.
Muslims. Are you sure?
I don't think so. I have no idea.
Think so or don't know? Or
I don't know. I don't know.
It's a question I have.
I'm not aware of them being Muslims.
Do you know why I ask?
Why?
Because I asked Katie when she was on the program about when they were selling them for food, and they continued to do it. When they slaughter their birds, what method do they use? Her answer was halal.
Oh, I would never touch that kind of meat.
Well, that's how they slaughtered all their birds out of that farm. That's what she told me on the program. Good. She said that. So that means they slit their necks to kill them, and then they let all the blood run out. Now, there's a ritual that they follow when they slaughter using halal method, and that is that the bird is not supposed to be, as you just indicated, stressed. So they're supposed to treat the bird very gently before they cut its throat, and the bird is not supposed to see the knife before it's administered, before it cuts, and so they have to follow this procedure. Not only that, Rudy, if you are slaughtering animals using halal method, what a lot of people also don't know is that the food that you feed the animals also has to be halal. That means the food for the birds has to be halal. Also, I noticed the reason I'm asking the question now is I thought they were slaughtering those birds to expand their market share. And so by slaughtering them using the halal method, they could sell them to Christians or Muslims, because Christians don't necessarily, there's no restriction on it. So they can sell them to people that way. So I thought, well, they're just doing it that way so that they can just satisfy the Muslim market. Right. I think it goes beyond that, though, because I think it's their belief, because Katie was on another program recently talking about when the cull is coming. And the reason she was upset was because exactly what you said. She's saying the CFIA presence and all of the stuff going on there is stressing the birds out before they are culled. And for the birds they want those birds culled using, I think, halal method. You have to feed them using halal method before you take a bird and you cull it in order to comply with Muslim faith to it, because you're not allowed to just cull a bird unless you follow certain procedures if you are Muslim. So yeah, and one of the thing is the birds have to be kept calm and not stressed out before you cull them. In addition to that, you have to make sure that their food is clean and therefore halal certified. That's why I'm thinking that's why they want the special food out there. That's why they're concerned about the birds being stressed before they are slaughtered, because they want this all in compliance with halal method. Now, I'm speculating to some degree, but it's a valid question.
I think so.
A valid question. So. No, it's a valid question, because we know that they slaughtered those birds, all of them, using halal method. And then with the language she's been using, this also falls into alignment with all of that. And because otherwise, who cares what kind of bird seed you're feeding the birds, as long as it's nutritious and they're eating it and they're healthy. For some reason, they want this specific food fed to the birds.
I don't look after ostriches, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, this is a valid question for which I do not have an answer. But
I couldn't tell you what they eat or how they eat or whatever. But I do know this.
Do you understand what I'm saying about the halal?
Yeah, but they're under CFIA's control. Yes. So whatever going on is under their control, not the farmers. Okay.
Well, no,
I
that's
mean,
not entirely true because they're
oh yeah, it's
accommodating the
totally
farm.
true. It's
No,
totally true. They're
it's under their
they're
control, but
not
the farm
talking to the
owners,
farmers like
yes, they
communication
are.
wise.
Yes, they
No,
are. They're coming right out and they're
no,
on
no,
video talking about it.
no.
They were talking, Rudy, on video about the
They've got
food.
some talking going on and whatever, but
So
their
are they?
concerns
So
and stuff.
are they feed? What kind of food are they getting right now?
Well, that was one of the concerns they brought up with the CFIA.
Yes,
There was
and
concern about the food. There was concern about
right.
the drones
And
flying over
okay,
top and the
hang on. So
helicopters and
answer the question.
which question.
What food are the birds getting right now?
The last I heard was it was back to their food, not CFIA's food.
Right.
They didn't want CFIA food in
So
there.
they
They wanted their
accommodated
own
them,
food in there.
and that's what's going on.
Yeah, I believe so. But there's been a lot of
So is that
concerns,
abuse?
which changing the feed habit and stuff.
No,
Yeah, I would think so.
is giving the birds the food that the farm owners want them to have, is that abuse? No,
Well,
that's
the birds
accommodation.
are still the property of the farmers. Okay, so if
Yes,
the farmers wish that
I don't have
their
an issue
birds are
with it.
eating
I'm
a
saying that,
certain type of feed, that's
yeah,
their prerogative.
sure, no
Okay, it's
problem. Well, that's
their
what the
animals.
CFIA said.
You know,
So what's the problem?
I don't know what the feed thing is
There
with
is no
these
feed
birds.
issue. They made an issue out of a
I don't
nothing
know
burger.
because I'm not a farmer. I don't know. Okay,
But
I
you
don't
don't
know.
need
But
to be
that
a
was an
farmer to
issue.
understand that the
But it was an
CFIA is
issue.
doing what the farm owners wanted them to do.
Well,
They're
I don't.
giving them the
For
food that the
the
farmers wanted them to
messages I'm
give them.
getting is not the case that they're doing that.
But it is because
There
they've
is a
said so.
blockage of communication with these guys.
No, people are just trying to make it seem worse
Uh,
than it is, and they're feeding the birds the food that the farmers want them fed.
no, we're waiting for a supreme. This is where it's at right now. We're
Yeah,
waiting for a Supreme Court decision.
that's
Okay,
right.
to
But
be
while we
coming
wait,
down.
they're being
To be
fed that
coming
food.
down. Okay, and
Yeah,
this should be in front of the Supreme Court of Canada.
should it?
Okay, so we're waiting for this decision to come down, and there's a stay order in place
I understand.
up until I believe October the 3rd. Okay,
Yes, yeah, which is
now
tomorrow.
right. Okay, so if this decision doesn't come down lickety split from the Supreme Court, and we're going to go ahead with a case here, there's a big problem going on, and the CFIA have nonstop been doing what they're doing. Okay, they're
Yeah.
acting like they don't. I mean, they're acting like the stay order is going to lose, and the court decision's not going to come in,
Well,
or
they have.
something.
That's because as the stay order is written, they have the authority to maintain control of the property
That's right.
while this decision on whether the case will be the appeal will be heard. So
Yes,
they have every right under the law
that's right.
to do what they're doing right now. So they're doing
Yeah, that's right. So they are acting on full strength. I mean, as far they haven't turned back the dial, just the date,
that. No, it's paused.
and they're trying to get it
Excuse me.
into court and have it heard and all
Sure.
this and
We'll see what happens.
this is a heck of a predicament. Okay,
Mhm.
so this is under the wire now.
Okay, and so with regard to that, what is the court case about?
Well, the testing is the main thing. The main focus of that is that they want a test of these birds to see what it is exactly.
I know
They
what
need
they
to be
want, but
killed
what is
over.
I know what they want, but what is the court case about?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't looked at the particulars of the court case. I
Well,
mean,
it's
it's
pretty
on the
important.
table. It is important. I would say that it's on the table. But
I can tell you, it's not that complicated.
sure, go ahead. I would love to hear it.
Sure. So back in January, when the cull
Mhm.
order was issued, when the farm owners were discovered to have the problem out there with all the birds dying from the bird flu, the cull order was issued, and then they challenged that. They got a lawyer and they challenged it in court. So they managed to get a stay order because the CFIA was going through the procedures, but they managed to get a stay. So it delayed things. Then they went to court and it's dragged on ever since then. And the question at that time was, does the CFIA have the authority to proceed with a cull. And the farm owner said, no, they don't have we want an exemption because our birds are special, because we have been doing research, and therefore, in this case, we shouldn't proceed with a cull. So they went to court, and CFIA made their argument, and the farm failed to prove that their birds are in fact unique, or that any kind of research had been done into bird flu that was of any value. And so the court said, no, sorry, your birds are not special. You haven't done any valid research out here. You haven't produced the studies that you say would back up your claims that these birds are producing these special antibodies. And so the CFIA has the go ahead to proceed with the cull. And then the protests mounted. And then they managed to get a second stay. And that means that it was delayed again so that they could launch an appeal. And they went to court again. And it took many months because the wheels of justice turned slowly. And they went to court. They put forward additional arguments to support this idea that their birds are special and that they were doing some sort of research that should result in the birds not being
But along all of this,
and they lost again.
Along all of this, though, let's look at this.
Yeah.
The way in which they tested the outcome of this, they tested 2 dead birds with a PCR test.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a big fan of PCR testing. You know that.
Yes.
Now, based on these 2 dead birds, and there was others that died too. There's more than 2. Okay,
69.
there was 69 of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in this 9-month period of quarantine, these birds now, I mean, I don't know, 380 or something of them or something.
Well, there's another issue in itself. Yeah.
Have all survived. Okay. And they're not coming. They don't look sick on camera. I'm just going to say that. They have not been tested. Okay. To determine the fact-finding information that the CFRA is coming up with. Okay. That test has not been done. So nobody can say that these birds are sick or whatever. Okay. If you don't run the test, you don't know.
This is important. Why, when a farm is infected with an outbreak.
Oh no, you froze again. He froze again. He froze. I'm just gonna have to wait till you get back here. We're waiting here for Rick to come back here. He froze. He'll be back, I'm sure.
Frozen.
There he is.
Now you're back. Okay, look.
Okay.
When there's an outbreak detected, a bird
what?
A bird farm. Chickens, turkeys, ostriches, whatever. Why don't they test every bird? Why? I froze.
Well, now you're talking a test. Okay. But the term I'm not going to,
what word are you taking?
The term of the term of the agency is the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Inspection means something. Inspection means they should be doing testing about the food that you're consuming. I mean that would be the first line of defense in talking about a disease. I must have frozen here. I'll bet you somebody's frozen here. Are you back, Rick?
I'm back. I'm here. Are you there? Okay.
We're talking about the first line of defense here. I mean, in testing our consumable foods, right? Inspection means just that, to inspect beef or whatever.
Yeah. And they have a broad mandate with regard to the agricultural industry.
Exactly.
One of those things is to mitigate the risk of disease among different kinds of livestock, right?
Yeah.
And that includes risk mitigation for bird flu.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. I keep asking the question, but I'm not going to ask this time. I'm going to tell you why they don't test every
go
bird.
ahead. Sure.
It's not practical. It's not even possible to test every bird on every farm that becomes infected with bird flu. So they use a method which is universally accepted, which is a balance of probabilities, which is to say, when you go in and if you have bird flu detected and you have dead birds, if you test a carcass and you come back with a positive test, and I've done the math and I don't remember exactly how the numbers work out because it's been months since I actually ran the equations. But, it depends on the size of the flock and so on. But even with one positive test on a carcass within a flock, you can be very sure that the vast majority of those birds have been infected and are carrying the disease.
What was the cost of the test? What's the cost of the test? What's the cost of the test? Because I heard it was like $20.
Let me finish, please.
Yeah, sure.
This is at the heart of the matter. What's it cost? Now, if you do a second bird on the balance, the chances are, it's like gambling, right? The chances are that your accuracy, that the risk of infection, if you get two positives, that then the chances are it goes up exponentially, that the rest of the flock will be infected based on the science they know about how the disease spreads, the infection rate, etc. Okay. Now what we've got here at the farm is two birds tested, come back positive. You have 69 dead. So you know that 69 birds died. 2 of them died from the disease for sure. And in addition to that, you got 69 other dead birds. Now, what's the chances that those other 69 birds died from something else? Highly unlikely, especially since they were all exhibiting symptoms as confirmed by the farm owners. In addition to that, if you've got now 69 dead birds that on the balance of probabilities is probably like 99.9999999% that all those birds died from bird flu, and you've got a whole flock and they've all been exposed, then you can be pretty damn sure that the entire flock has not only been exposed, but has been infected, whether they're exhibiting symptoms or not. Now, the thing about the ostriches is that you're quite right. They are not chickens. They are poultry, but they're not chickens. And because of their biology, they do not die at the same rate or percentage as chickens do. Chickens, when they become infected, you will lose, depending on the conditions of where they're being kept, anywhere from like 70 to like 90%. And depending on the strain of the virus, it will rip through a chicken coop and they'll all die, basically. And they will die a horrific, gross, inhumane, violent, physically violent death. They suffer immensely over anywhere from 3 to 7 days. So at this ostrich farm, based on those 2 tests, plus Rudy, they did additional testing at a laboratory. It wasn't just a basic on-site PCR test. They took samples back to a lab, and they were actually able to isolate the specific type of virus and confirm what it was, which was a novel form of H5N1, which had only been detected one other time on the east coast of Canada. How it got out to that farm is a bit of a mystery, but it was there, it's confirmed, and it wasn't just 2 basic PCR tests, which, by the way, are the gold standard, that type of PCR test, which the method used, the technology used for that kind of PCR testing has improved, and that is what is used, but they went beyond that. So it's not what they're saying out there. It's not just what they're saying. They wanted to be absolutely sure what was going on at that farm because it was a little bit unusual to see all of this happening. Now, here's the other thing. You're talking about those birds being mistreated by the CFIA. I'm going to say to you that those farm owners mistreated those birds back in December and January. And it's not the first time. Grossly mistreated them. The reason I say that is because they tried to hide everything that was going on out there at that time. They had a bird flu outbreak, and the birds were dying over the course of over a month. And they were dying 2 here, 3 there. They were sick. They were running around. They could tell they were sick. They admitted that they knew that they were sick, and they did not report it as they are required to by law. Now, here's the thing, Rudy. You have a dog. I have a dog.
Had a dog.
I've read. You had a dog. What happened to your dog? What happened?
Oh, he died old age. He was in the truck one day and he died. And I couldn't do anything. I was on a route anyway.
Yeah. So, you know, I've had dogs. My last dog got very, very ill, was suffering, and I didn't want to do it. But that poor dog, suffering. I took Shelby over to the vet, and I had my last moments, and I had to put her down.
Yeah.
And, you know, she had fluid coming out of her nose. She was suffering. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't bear to see the dog. Couldn't bear it. So I was there and put the dog down because it was the humane thing to do. Those farmers.
Oh yeah, I mean, if there's an animal that is suffering.
So that's
even
the thing,
when I was
Rudy.
growing up. Even when I was growing up, I was taught. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, you don't let an animal suffer.
Exactly.
You know, kind of thing.
But they did.
I agree
farm.
with that.
They
but
did
okay,
at that
but
farm.
what I'm saying is, okay, this has become a head of a situation. Okay. Where government
we got to back up and deal with this right here first, because this is where it started. We got to deal with the way those birds are treated.
But a lot of that information, Rick, is you know, I never seen any of that.
They told me about it.
Well, I didn't see that part
on this program.
I didn't see that.
Karen Esperson, my first interview with regard to this whole story. I talked to her about what was going on out there. And she talked about those 69 birds dying, which a lot of people out there are saying never happened. I've had people say no birds died.
Oh no,
yes,
it happened.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, it happened. Yeah,
but here's the thing. Please,
we established that.
Please just listen to this.
Sure.
Those poor birds, those 69 birds suffered. The whole flock was suffering. The whole flock was in distress. They were sick. They were infected. They knew it. And they were watching the birds die off slowly. When a bird gets bird flu, they die a slow, painful death over many days. Their lungs fill with fluid. They swell up. Their brains swell. They end up suffocating to death painfully. They get severe diarrhea. And they become lethargic, and then they pass away because they can't breathe and they finally die. But it takes many days for it to happen. And for an ostrich to die, they're not a chicken, and they don't die as quickly as a chicken. They fight and they try to survive, and it drags on, and they suffer immensely. And those farm owners did nothing. You know what they did, Rudy? They didn't put them. I heard somebody on a live stream say the other day that they put those birds down, and they didn't. They let them suffer. They let them linger. They let them die a slow, painful death. All 69 of them.
Wow.
And then while they were doing that, they tried to hide it. They didn't want anybody to find out, and nobody did know except some neighbors knew something was going on, and somebody at the farm reported them because they couldn't stand what they were watching, the horror of it. That's the truth. Okay. And they didn't want their investment to go down the drain. So they were hiding it. But they were discovered because they were reported, which is a crime. That is a crime of that is cruelty to animals.
That's right.
As far as I'm concerned. And now you've got them out there saying, do the right thing, got to do the right thing, got to save the ostriches. Were they doing the right thing, Rudy, when they did that? When they let those 69 birds suffer and die? And you can look it up. Like, I've got it right here, the CFIA statement on that. It's all written right in. The CFIA knows. That's why they were fined, not just once, but I believe twice, because they never complied with any rules. They mistreated their animals.
Okay, well,
and it's all right here.
Yeah,
they stated right in there that they didn't comply, and that and that they improperly disposed of the carcasses. They were trying to hide them. They were burying the things and not disposing of them properly because they're infected, man. So it's a little bit rich.
So there was some dirty deeds going on.
Oh, very dirty deeds. And so, it's a real stretch for them to sit there and say, do the right thing. Oh, you're not giving them the right feed. What? Yeah. Did you give a excuse my language about what kind of feed they were getting when they were dying a slow, painful death back in December, January?
Sure. No. In every case, every case, okay. Every case that we come across and we look at, and you're bringing up a very valid point on this.
Yeah, because they're not being truthful with people out there.
Yeah. Now, we went into that before, and we understand that. Okay. Yeah. My only concern in this whole business, excuse me, is that perhaps these little these ostriches have been mistreated. Let's say that. Okay. Have been mistreated,
used for dog food,
and so on, without proper licensing, without proper authority. I mean, this a method that they have been using is a little overboard when it comes to being in an open air environment and the rest of it. And
it's not a valid research facility at all. It's not a controlled environment.
A lot of this other stuff spilled out. Okay, that you're talking.
Yeah, that's the other problem with what they were. That's the other problem with what they were doing out there. It's not. It is an open air biolab. That's what they turned it into. But it was never a proper research facility.
The victim here is the ostrich. Okay.
Oh, very much so. But they've been victimized by the farm owners, not by the CFIA, not by me, not by you.
I'll go with the farm
owners. They've been victims
I would go so far as to say that too.
Yeah.
But the problem is, these poor birds, are still creatures, and in today's society, it's 2025, if we can't come up with a humane way of treating our animals,
we do.
Well, do we? Now we're calling for testing on these birds.
When they become sick, it's actually more.
Last 9 months now, Rick. These birds have been on camera and they've been looking healthy. Now, I don't know what all the other shit's about, but these birds on camera look healthy, that I've seen from the protest side of it. They're looking healthy. They don't look like they're sick.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Now, I'm all against, I'm making it known here, I'm against killing off these healthy animals. If they're healthy and they don't need to be killed, then they shouldn't be killed. I mean, but they're a life too, just like you and I have no.
I understand that, but what you don't understand, because they're not really giving you the proper information, is that ostriches.
I'm just going by my visual. My visual.
Yeah, but and it's not even about the visual, and it isn't even at this point.
Yeah, but it's the public's visual too.
Okay? That's because they're
spinning a narrative. Seeing we're coming to a situation. If we're all seeing these birds on camera and they're healthy, and the farmers
they appear
are putting up the argument that they're healthy.
Even Rebel News used the phrase asymptomatic.
And they're saying they're healthy.
They're asymptomatic.
So now you've got this misinformation shit going on.
What misinformation? From the farm? From the farm?
Yeah, from the farm or from Rebel News or from whoever. Okay.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, from the public's perspective, without listening to anybody.
Yeah.
And they see the visuals of these birds and they're looking healthy.
PR nightmare.
And they're not sick looking. Okay.
Yeah. It's a PR nightmare.
Now, that's a problem for me. Okay. Now, a $20 test is what I'm hearing it costs.
It's not about $20. That's what they say, but it's a lie.
Well, maybe it's more.
Because it might cost $20, but it doesn't stop there.
Maybe it's more. But
even if it's $50, it's not the point.
I would sooner go ahead with testing them than what you see out there now.
No.
What do you see out there now? They're setting up to kill them. What does that cost? Okay. To bring in all those hay bales and all that equipment, all those cops' salary, and all that shit.
I'll ask
versus a test.
It's not. Yeah, it's not just a test.
Therein lies the problem.
No, the problem is if they test them here, they have to test everything.
Well, why not? If they're
that's a lot more than $20.
If they're looking at killing off livestock, okay, and we're talking under a government umbrella, I would definitely be calling for testing, severe testing, and accountability to what they're doing.
Full stop. This comes back to the big question that I asked, which I'm trying to give you an answer to because you don't have the answer, and this is where you're going off down this side road and reaching.
Well, I got reasons for that
conclusion.
Yeah, but I got reasons for that.
I'll tell you why they don't. Let me explain why they don't test every bird.
Sure.
Some of these chicken farms have like 1 million chickens.
Okay.
1 million.
Okay. So what if you set up a test?
If you have
right.
a chicken operation with 1 million chickens,
right?
You think you can test every single chicken before you cull
it?
You
can test a certain number. You can go with a certain number. Okay. If you went with 30% or 40%,
you don't need to. You don't need to.
How do you not need to?
You didn't need to at the Universal Ostrich Farm. I just explained that to you.
What?
It's about the science that they know about how the disease spreads. How many, if you test one bird and you get one carcass and you confirm that bird died, then you know that on the balance of probabilities, it's probably in the 80 percentile, especially if you have all these other dead birds around you, that those birds have died from the disease and that the rest of the flock has been infected. If you test two birds on the balance of probabilities, it gets up into like almost 100%.
Okay. So why are all these birds still alive?
Because ostriches, regardless of the particular strain of bird or ostrich, they are less susceptible to dying than a chicken because they are bigger. They have a bigger body mass. Their biology is different. And so therefore they don't die at the same percentages as chickens do because they're not chickens. They're ostriches, but they can and do die. So there's nothing unusual about the die-off rate that you got with the bird flu.
Well, they're claiming herd immunity.
So what?
So what do you mean? So what?
So
if
what?
they're able to conquer the disease,
because
if they're able to conquer
alligators get bird flu and they don't die.
Okay.
Because ducks get bird flu and they don't die at the same rate.
So they conquer the disease.
And pigeons
can
get bird flu, but they don't die at the same rate. Some will die, but not as many as chickens. And it depends on their physiology and so on.
So will it eventually die out?
Argument you can make.
Will the strain die out? Would it die out if?
No. You can make the same argument in terms of uniqueness of the species or whether they're important for research. You can make the exact same argument for a dog because dogs can get bird flu and they often will survive. Cats, you can make the argument for them.
So why is it such a problem then?
Why is what such a problem?
Why is it such a problem? I mean, if the death rate isn't so high here. I mean,
it is high, especially for chickens. And the other problem is that the bird flu is mutating and it is jumping to other species. That's why you're now finding bird flu in cats. That's why you're finding it in some cases in dogs. For instance, the girl that they paid, sort of paid off by giving her promises of fundraising, who is the girl who got bird flu in Canada, and they brought her out to the farm.
Yeah, I remember. Right? What about her?
Okay. She got that disease, they believe, from a dog.
Yeah.
Because the dog they got from...
Yeah, but they didn't pay her to do that. They didn't pay her directly. I think they did pay to bring her, and then they also did fundraisers for her. So, of course, she's going to say whatever they want them to say because now they're making money, which they need, and I don't begrudge her that. They're not a well-off family, and so they certainly needed some support. Well, this was the opportunity. So that's what happened with her. But the point that the more important point is that she was infected, they believe, from a dog.
And that's why this is important, because they're trying to slow down the spread of it as much as they can, mitigate the risk, because it is finding its way to other species. And Rudy, it is now finding its way into milk.
Oh my.
And but it's presenting in a different way in cows, dairy cows, than it does in other creatures. They're finding it in like the glands and the teats and the area of the cow that produces the milk, not in the respiratory system. And they're finding this in the milk. They've discussed, like they've tested, so pasteurization kills it. But this is a huge concern because, of course, you don't want your cows spreading the disease.
Well, look what happened
we're going to have to start putting down cows.
Mad cow disease.
Mad cow
disease.
It
almost killed the entire cattle industry.
Exactly.
You know, that's what I'm saying here.
Exactly. You've got this disease that is, whether some people out there just think viruses don't exist. That is part of the problem. They are real, and we do need to deal with them, and we do need to manage them. And you can see, the thing is, I can entertain the argument that the cull procedure is not effective. If you want to make changes to the system or whatever, that's all fine. But there are responsible ways to do it.
Well, that's what we've got to explore.
Right, but what's going on there right now is not that. That's not responsible what they're doing. They let their animals suffer. They didn't comply with any rules. When they were told to quarantine, to quarantine the animals, they didn't do it. When they were told to put up netting over the pond after the outbreak was discovered, they didn't do it. When they were told that this was a quarantine zone, they just thumbed their nose at the system and invited people to go out there for a party/protest and ramped it up and said, screw you. And then said to people, look, there's no risk. Everybody's out here and everybody's healthy, but that's because the transmission of the disease to human beings is extremely rare. We've only had a few cases of it. Nevertheless, you're still putting people at risk. But the greater issue is not whether the birds present as healthy, not whether people might be infected even so much. It's about the spreading of the disease. So the entire time those birds have been infected, and we don't know what period of time they could be infected now, that maybe they're not. I don't know. But certainly there's a big window there where those birds were shedding virus, and they were being left, contrary to the orders of the CFIA, left to be exposed to all kinds of wildlife, waterfowl, ducks, which migrate up and down the West Coast in migratory patterns, traveling thousands of miles from Canada to the United States to Mexico, potentially spreading that disease. And it's incubating there the entire time. And these birds are coming into contact now with human beings during that period of time. They're coming into contact with all kinds of, who knows what's getting into that open air biolab. And they're just circulating in there, and they're just saying, screw you. We're not putting up the netting over the pond. Because we don't believe that we are attracting wild ducks here. But they are, because they were throwing feed out on the ground out by the pond. And so you've got a body of water and food. And so you're actually attracting
ducks. Get a duck.
And yes, you can even affect the migratory patterns of migratory birds. Of course, you're going to get ducks. So now the ducks are mingling with the ostriches, and the ducks may be infected.
Whatever's on the ground. Whatever's on the ground.
That's right. And they didn't get. And again, Rudy, once again,
whether or not it's actually transmittable,
it's transmittable.
That's another question.
And that's
everything
why
about this whole thing
the policy
now
is. That's why. One more thing.
Sure.
That's why the policy is that. And let me bring up here, I might have the exact language. It says,
excuse me,
that our disease response aims to protect both public and animal health, as well as minimize impacts on the $6.8 billion domestic poultry industry and the Canadian economy. This supports Canadian families and poultry farmers whose livelihoods depend on maintaining international market access for $1.75 billion in exports. Because of that farm, by the way, 3 countries now have banned or have restrictions on poultry products of all kinds coming from that prescribed control zone in which that ostrich farm is central. And that is the reason all the farms, family farms in that prescribed control zone now don't have access to those external markets. And I was doing the research, and they've now lost about 20% of their sales because of that already. So, and that's because of the ostrich farm. Canada's animal health status is an essential element of agricultural exports. Our stamping out policy plays a critical role. It says right here that they did not comply with any of the orders that they were given to keep them isolated, quarantined from other wildlife and so on. So they were given, here it is, the farm owners failed to report the initial cases of illnesses, of deaths to the CFIA as required by.
Sorry. Did you freeze up again? I think Rick froze up again here. Or maybe I froze up. I don't know. There, I'm back. Am I back? I think I'm in the studio, I believe.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Let's see if Rudy's back. Is Rudy back? Is Rudy back? There he is. He's
back.
All right. More crazy pausing here. Okay. Look. So, right here. So they're giving veterinary care. They didn't report the outbreak. In this statement from CFIA, they acknowledged that the farm was fined $20,000 because they broke the law.
At that time, were they selling the meat?
Oh, yeah.
At that time?
We have Facebook advertisements where they, even when they said they weren't selling meat, they were still selling foodstuffs, including eggs. They were selling eggs.
Okay.
And
well, I mean,
right
they
here,
must have had some kind of. They must have had some kind of income off it for sure. I mean, why would you have 400 ostriches?
Well, there's a good point.
You know,
the inventory is a big issue for me, and I have a lot of questions about that.
You know,
let me ask you something. If you had, well, I won't ask again because I don't get answers. I get.
Depends on what you ask.
Tracks. Yeah, I suppose so. The thing is, they can't even account. They're supposed to be running a research facility, and they can't even account for about a quarter of their inventory.
Mm-hmm.
They said they had 400. Then the CFIA comes out. We saw in their release, they only had between 300 and 330, and they were doing another head count to get a more accurate count. So they're missing somewhere upwards of 100 birds. Mm. And then she stands up, Karen, in front of all the protesters the other day and says it doesn't really matter how many. We just have to save them. It doesn't matter if it's 2. It sure as hell does.
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
Oh, my God.
I mean, we've been having eyes on this thing for the last 9-10 months or so.
Look at the numbers. They were being offered compensation, I believe, of $3,000 per bird. If you're going to file for compensation, right, you want to make sure you get paid for every bird if it's worth $3,000, and that's just for compensation, as government insurance from the government that they paid nothing for, but the government was going to give them $3,000 a bird. If you're missing 100, that's like $300,000. And if
that's a lot of money,
that's a lot of cash. And they're kind of like, whatever, it's somewhere between 300 and 400. Okay, so you don't even know where like 300 to 400,000
unless you're going to start digging up carcasses, to prove exactly what's the deal.
Right.
Unless you're going to start digging up carcasses to find out exactly.
Well, they're supposed to keep a record of this stuff, not the least of which is for Revenue Canada and taxation, including compensation for their
loss,
farm insurance, their losses.
Yeah.
That's like, oh well, we'll just guesstimate it to the nearest, I don't know, $100,000. What? There's something not right here, Rudy. Now, if those birds are truly worth as much as they say they are for research purposes, they're worth even more. They could be worth $5,000, $10,000, $20,000.
Who knows?
And if you've got 100 of those, let's say it's $10,000 each. What are we looking at? $1 million? A million? And they're kind of like, well, it's somewhere around there. Meanwhile, we're told that we know that they were under financial distress through all of this. Well, my God. Now, what kind of research facility are you running? Not only that, what kind of farm are you running? No wonder you're in financial distress. You can't even count your birds. You can't even keep your bank account straight.
I don't know.
Do you know what it costs? Do you know what it costs to run that farm?
I have no idea. I really wouldn't have
you are
any
looking
idea.
At about, just to feed the birds, to keep them alive every year, you're looking at about $500,000.
That's a lot of cabbage.
I did the research. Plus
that's
the cost
a lot
of operating the farm. That's just to keep the birds alive.
Yeah, that's a lot of cabbage.
Oh, yeah. But, whatever. Who's counting? You should be, especially if you want. And here's the thing. You know what I see? A huge grift. And I'm not just talking about the donations, Rudy. I'm talking about a government grift.
Anything's possible.
Oh no, it's guaranteed.
How do you think it's a government grift?
What happens if those birds are saved for research?
Okay.
What happens?
Well, they go into research, full-blown research.
Where does that money come from? Where's the money going to come from?
Whoever's going to supply the looking after these birds.
I'll tell you who's going to pay for it. Us, taxpayers.
Well, that's on government grants and stuff like that.
Exactly. Very lucrative government grants. Dr. Stephen Pellick lives on government
grants are a big thing
to do research, and he's kind of fallen out of favor in recent years, and he's been their go-to doc to back up what they're doing. And he's been involved in a number of, he was involved in the series of blood tests, study for COVID, government money for that, some private sector money. So the money for research has to come from someplace. So if you're going to save the birds for research, I guess the first thing you better make sure is that if you're going to save them for research, is there funding, and what's the research going to be? Because I, as a taxpayer, want to know before we inadvertently, through a back door, approve some sort of a study at a farm, which we don't really know what the study is going to be. Right? We don't even know. What study? Who's doing it? Where's the money coming from? So what are the birds being saved for, Rudy?
Well, I'm under what they're claiming is research.
Right. So again, whose, where, how much?
They're saying for all of humanity.
Yeah, but who's paying for the study? You don't. It's just this stuff doesn't just happen out of thin air. What happens if they save these birds through this method, which is entirely political and it's coercive, all right? It becomes a PR thing. Now you've saved the birds. Now you've got to go through the process. Okay, we've saved these birds. We're gonna have some sort of a study. All right. Better put some people together and make this study thing work. And it's guaranteed it's got to happen at that point because they told everybody it's going to happen.
Yeah, that was the angle.
And
of
so
saving
now,
the birds.
So at that point,
no doubt about it.
It's like payola time, man. It's like cashing in. Everybody's going to be up to the public trough and feeding on the public purse and some private sector money likely. And it just becomes a big cash bonanza for a little while. So they can do damages. They can do more work on these birds.
Don't forget the damages part. That's always part of the equation too. And this is kind of an event. Yeah, they're going to claim damages of some kind.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Sure. Like for crying out loud.
I would be. I would for sure be claiming damages. Definitely.
But that's what Dr. Pellick wants. He wants a study grant. He's going to get a bunch of money. The farm owners want that because not only that, they'll probably get their farm renovated because they don't have a proper facility. And if they do the studies out there, they're going to have to ramp up that facility. They're going to have to build new buildings, make them all biosecure, controlled environments, and they've done none of that, which is also why the CFIA in their release states clearly that these people have failed to provide any of the documentation. Like, here's the thing. They keep saying that their birds are special and they've been doing all this research and that they have all these antibodies. Okay, Rudy, show me the study.
Exactly.
Where's the study to prove what they claim? They keep saying these birds have herd immunity.
Yeah, but I've never seen any documentation. I haven't seen any documentation of studies or anything.
There's
like
none.
This.
There's
never been anything shown
not in the bird flu
publicly
they don't have any studies
any form of study at all.
None. No study at all.
No, I agree with you.
Zero.
I've never seen that.
That's why they're losing in court. That's why they've lost twice. They're just making a claim. They're coming to a conclusion without ever writing a hypothesis. They're making a conclusion based on a hypothesis, and that's not the scientific method. Yeah. But that's what they're selling the public right now, because what they're really selling the public is emotion.
Yeah. Don't see, if they lose this, if they get turned down in this case, okay, with the federal court, okay, if they get turned down in this case, then there's going to have to, there's a lot of, why is that going on?
Yep.
Okay.
And the public won't
because of the fact that the big question is why, let's get a test done. Okay, let's find out for sure. And the reason for that is because of the shenanigans of COVID-19. Okay.
I know there's no public trust.
The government trust is gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're entering into an era that is a little different than what we're used to. Okay. Yeah. Because now we're throwing out all this stuff. Okay. Some of it doesn't look very nice when you look at the backdrop. Okay. I mean, it's like finding out about a slaughterhouse for the first time in grade 8.
Right.
Okay. This is all new shit to everybody as far as how disease is transmitted, what the disease is, what it does. Is there a way to have immunity to it? And blah, 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 blah. It goes on with the scientific stuff. Now, at the same time that this is going on, okay, we also got to look at the track of the global warming issue and the green aspect of things and all the other climate change and all.
No,
I mean,
these
are scientific studies.
Yeah, you need to look at this issue on its own and judge it based on the facts here.
Let me finish. You're going off on all these studies, and I'm talking about the global warming aspect here. Okay, these studies, these guys were vultures when it came to getting government grants and coming up with whatever the government wants them to say. Okay.
Okay.
And it went fucking crazy. And
Yeah.
the grants that were there, unbelievable.
Right.
And same thing here. Okay.
With COVID. And that's what these people were doing. They were bellying up
This
to
is
the
the
bar
same similar situation.
and ordering up big drinks.
But
During COVID, they're
look
cashing
at
in.
what they did with COVID. Okay.
Yeah.
They completely set the entire country on its ear. Okay. I mean, we were broadsided with this. Okay, as a society, we were completely broadsided with this.
Okay,
this
Rudy,
tactic
this
of
is
disease. You know.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
okay. Look, in order to effectively discuss this, we need to talk about this. All this other stuff is peripheral at best, and it becomes a red herring. So we're chasing off on all these other things. What we need to do is
point.
But we need to look at what's going on with this farm.
It becomes a focal point because we want to see transparency here. And when we're talking transparency, okay, we want to know the real facts. And you've pointed out a lot of facts, and I've seen a lot of facts, and but I also have a yearning for stepping up the bar as far as this inspection agency, because this doesn't quite sound good to me. Okay. So anyway, I mean, we got to raise the bar. Why not raise the bar? Let's have a full look at what this is with disease research and so on and so on and so on.
Okay.
But under practical means, under a knowledge, under a fact that, okay, if this has to be done, that has to be done, blah, 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 in order for research to go ahead.
We can have that. We can go through that process as a society, but this is not really the proper way to do it, because this is a group of
the whole thing comes to question.
This comes down to trying to force change through a legal ruling. You're trying to
this is a wake-up call.
To get the Supreme Court to re-legislate
this is a wake-up call.
Policy.
Yeah, but this is a wake-up call to Canada.
This is
what it is.
This is not about the birds. This is about this.
It is about the birds too. They're victims in this.
Oh, they are. They're using.
I mean, come on. I mean, killing an animal.
But the people driving this, it's not about saving the birds, Rudy.
Yeah, but killing an animal, okay, and not using it in a productive way. It's just a slaughter. Okay, I don't find that as productive. Okay, I really don't. Yeah. If there's a medical way to solve this, I would more rather look at that, and the testing of it has to be looked at, because you got to know what you're dealing with.
Wait, look, if that
stands to reason, I think.
If you allow the testing, you're allowing the abuse of the legal system in order to do an end run around.
Well, they have regular vets.
A system.
Vets are a big thing in farms. Veterinary thing is a big thing in farming.
You're missing. You're like a lot of people. The point is being missed here. They're trying they're trying to destroy the system by getting an exemption, by getting them to say, okay, we'll test. If you test at this point, you are at any point in this process, actually, if you allow more testing, which the policy forbids. The reason they forbid additional testing, even by the farm owners, when a cull order is issued, is because it undermines the ability for an expeditious response to disease mitigation. In order for the policy to be effective, they need to act quickly, because when the birds are infected and spreading the disease, they need to stamp it out.
Well, where are they spreading it though, Rick?
Everywhere.
If you're talking about, listen, how is it being spread? I mean, that is a big question scientifically, because they used to think that the common cold was contagious.
We know how it spreads. We know. Okay. We already know how it spreads. It spreads from
how is it being
wildlife.
Spread?
It spreads when people come into contact with the birds and carry the virus out. It spreads in a lot of different ways like that.
And then you go into quarantine, right?
You could.
You go into quarantine, Under a protocol.
Potentially
If you have an outbreak,
which,
if you have an outbreak, there is a protocol. Okay?
Yes.
If you actually have that outbreak. That's the question.
And they did have an outbreak at the farm. And
well, that's the question here.
And a quarantine order was issued, and they didn't follow it.
Yeah, but I mean,
they didn't do anything.
Yeah, but this was over 9 months ago, and this was stuff that was never really brought out until now.
No,
right?
It was brought out then. They went to court then, and they lost. And then to further delay, they appealed. And then to further delay, they've appealed again. And now we're into 9 months, 10 months, because they're using the legal system to undermine the system. That's what they're doing.
I thought this was all about saving the birds.
But it isn't. It's about undermining the system. It's also an assault on the sovereignty of Canada, because you have these outside big money, U.S. oil money, U.S. ag business money coming in here and funding this circus out there. They're backing up Katie and her legal battle with big U.S. money. John Catsimatidis, the billionaire out of New York, he's bankrolling a lot of this. It's not about the birds. It's about an assault on Canadian sovereignty, as the president of the United States is talking about making Canada the 51st state. And it's about tariffs, and it's about the integration of the Canadian and U.S. food and the agribusiness, poultry industry. John Catsimatidis owns the biggest grocery store chain in New York State. They buy a lot of poultry, Rudy.
Yeah, but all of this is over the life of a friggin' ostrich.
Yes, because this is something that they've picked as a political fuse to light in order to blow things up.
Well, they're going to get it.
What's that?
They're going to get it.
I don't know if they will or if
they're
they
going
won't.
to get it blown up in front of their face. Yeah.
Well, if they get it blown
because
up,
of the way it's going, yeah. Because of the way this went, yeah.
So if they blow up the system, this doesn't protect those family farms.
Well, there's no way that they've done that. I mean, they haven't done it yet.
Because those family farms are all, you think it's a $20 test. It isn't.
What
if you allow that $20, let me finish. If you allow them to do that $20 test, okay, and those birds live, there's still no trade for those other family farms. There's a huge cost in the billions of dollars for all the other farms just in that prescribed control zone. They can't sell their eggs out of the country. There are other, like 3 countries now prohibiting the sale of products from that area because of those birds being alive, because the virus was detected there, and international trade rules require certain procedures to be followed, because those birds, even if they test negative, are considered to be a risk for the spread of the disease because they have been exposed and infected. And ostriches are known biologically to be efficient carriers of bird flu while being asymptomatic, a phrase that even Rebel News keeps using. I'm not sure why they keep using it, maybe because they don't understand what it really means, but it means that you are carrying the virus in one form or another, but not exhibiting any symptoms of illness, but you can still spread it. And so because they've been exposed, and it appears repeatedly exposed to bird flu over many years, because they're in that open air environment, they are considered to be a high risk. So countries are saying, we're not having anything to do with any farms in that area. So it isn't just a $20 test. Once you give them this precedent, a legal precedent, a procedural and policy precedent, you have to let every farmer do it. Now, every chicken farmer can say, you're not going to kill any of my chickens until you test every single one of them. Now you got to do that test 20 million times, a million times for one major corporate big ag chicken operation. 1 million birds. You got to test every one. That's $20 million for one farm. What's going to happen to the price of chickens? What's going to happen to the price of poultry at the supermarket?
If you're going to tackle this in that way, you're going to have to take a percentage. You're going to no, wait a minute. I would be happy with this.
They
Okay.
do this.
You would have to take a certain percentage of the flock tested
Right.
to see what the count is. Okay.
Right.
And see what you're going to do.
That's what
I
they
mean,
do.
in a
We do that now.
professional fashion.
We do
Okay.
it now. They're doing that
Instead
now.
of, yeah, but they're talking about killing the entire flock when they
Right.
find out there's one of them infected. Okay.
You.
But then what about the immune system of these birds?
It's not
I mean,
unusual. The only thing that makes them
are
unique.
they able to survive it?
Yeah, a certain percentage of ostriches will survive bird flu, and what
Okay.
happened out there
So
is
if
not
they
unique
survive it,
with
are they
regard to that.
deadly to everybody else?
Yes, potentially. Because
Has
even
there
though
ever been a study to that?
yes. In
There
fact,
has
you
been
can
a
find,
study for that.
yes, not at that farm. You can find studies into ostrich antibodies and ostriches. I found the studies dating back all the way to like 2009, 2010, but not at that farm.
That it causes it's airborne.
Oh yeah, and those studies done like a lot of them in Japan, some in the US. So this is nothing new, and there's nothing unique about those birds with regard to the percentages that survived, why they survived. There's nothing unique about them. The only thing that makes them unique is that they've been studied in ways that we're not entirely sure of. We know they were used for COVID research. We know that they were used for some sort of genetics study. They may have been subjected to other kinds of injections because we've heard conflicting things from the farm owners about what exactly they were injecting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they're also not of any value for research, because if you're a researcher, you want a clean slate and you want to know the history of the animal before you experiment on it. And you can't even verify, even through that farm and its records, what the history of those birds has been, because they haven't kept proper records. And even that study dating back to the beginning of the farm with UBC has either been lost or destroyed or hidden. We don't know which, but we don't know what that study showed. And we don't even know why the study was done. What it had something to do with genetics. So there's some sort of eugenics thing going on here that dates back to the beginning of the farm. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. Research with COVID. These birds also kept in an open air environment, exposed to all kinds of wildlife, external factors. The fact that they survived is not really actually unusual. They've done no studies at all into bird flu, zero. They're conflating the COVID research with what they're claiming is some sort of proof or evidence that they have antibodies that will protect humanity from bird flu and other animals, when in reality, the only research that they might have any documentation on is the COVID research, which has nothing to do with the bird flu and only complicates any future studies they might do into bird flu. Because now you've got these birds that have been injected, they're polluted with all this other stuff. You don't start there if you're going to do a study into something. You want a clean animal, something that...
Well, that's why I would like to have seen the tests. I would like to have seen the tests done on these birds to find out exactly what was in them and so on. I mean, that would be more my interest.
Well, if they allow the testing based on this legal challenge to take place, you now have a legal and policy precedent in place, and that means that moving forward, get ready to pay about, 20, 30, 40 times more for your chicken when you go to the supermarket, because the testing procedures to mitigate bird flu will be gone out the window, because you know what they really want? They want to feed you diseased birds.
Well, that's why we have the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. So that doesn't happen.
Exactly. Right? But they're saying that they shouldn't have any authority out there, because what they really want is they want an end to the cull system. They say, well, it doesn't
if they
work.
would test these birds, it's a simple thing.
In the end,
if they would go ahead and just simply test these birds, and find out,
right,
then you would have a positive solution to what to do with them.
Because in the end, they don't want any rules. They don't want any government program at all. They don't want any testing. They don't want any government official coming onto any farm property. They want to just let it rip.
Oh, no. That's not what
Yes.
I think the
Yes,
farmers do.
because they
No,
want to destroy the system.
no,
Yes, and
no.
that
I don't agree
because
with that.
that's why you're
I don't
hearing
agree with
people
that.
say things. I don't agree with it either, but that's ultimately where it leads because
Yeah, but I don't agree with it.
there is no way
Because
that
you
you
have
can
to have, if you're talking food consumption, especially, you
right.
have to have a system or
I
or
agree. Yes.
yeah, a
We're
system
agreeing.
to make
We're in
sure that
agreement.
it's safe food. Okay,
Right.
I agree with that totally.
100%.
I'm not for dismantling the food system though.
The food
Okay,
safety system. But
I
they
know.
are. They
No.
are. And
I would
the groups
say
around them are.
if anything, I would say improve it. Okay. I would say
Yes.
improve it because
Right.
if you're not testing these
Yeah.
birds for the point of what you're trying to kill them for,
Yeah.
okay, and the farmers are making this big allegation, okay,
Yeah.
about about immunities and everything and all this, and and the rest of it, okay, and they
Yeah.
don't appear, and I go along with this too, that they don't appear to be sick on camera, okay,
Uh-huh.
so I don't trust the government policy anymore, all right, and let's get down to some nitty gritty. Let's say test them and find out exactly
What I've
what
tried to
is going
explain to
on
you
here.
like 5 times.
You
What
know what I mean?
happens when you test with you allow them to test at this point, you're setting a legal and policy precedent, which means that
Well, I
the
think it
system,
should be, there should be some protection against the government and the farmers, as a protection.
there is
Well, then where
protection.
is it here? They're saying that these birds have a value.
Yes, they're
And
saying that.
CFIA is saying,
They're
fuck
saying
that. They don't
yes,
got
and
no
they do have
value.
protection, and they've been exercising that protection because they have been given due process. They
I,
have the ability
well,
to
the
take
due
this to
process
court.
stinks. Okay. The due
Why?
process stinks because, if
It's
they
not even
don't want to
over with
test the
yet.
birds, I say it stinks. If you don't want to get
They
down to
did
the
test the
science of
birds.
this, if
No,
if you
because
don't want to get down to the science
it
of
was
this,
science. They did employ science in the very
no,
beginning.
no, not
Yeah.
not on two birds, no. And these
Yes.
birds have lasted over 9 months now,
So
and they don't appear to be sick. So what's the truth? If they don't appear to be sick, I mean, hell, when you
they
go
were
into a
sick.
cattle,
They were sick.
when you go into a cattle uh,
I think you're
facility,
being hard to get along with now.
no, it's true. You go into a cattle facility, okay,
We
to
just
feed.
had
I
this
mean, what do you call them?
a
Um,
barn.
no, feedlot. Okay,
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
beefing up these cattle. Okay, Anyways, I mean, riders will go in there every day in these pens, and they will look at these cattle, and they can tell just by looking at the way they walk if they've got something wrong with them. Okay, so they take these cattle out of the equation, and they go into the sick pen. Okay, so isn't that the same thing here? I
Nope.
mean, like if you've got a sick
Nope.
animal,
No.
you take it
No.
aside and you find out.
No. No.
Well, that's
No.
the problem.
No. That's not the problem.
hmm
It's not the
I think it
problem
is the
at all.
problem
It
because
isn't the problem, Rudy.
have you ever heard of misdiagnosis? You know, doctors misdiagnosing
Have you
patients.
ever heard of Typhoid Mary?
Well, there's okay. I mean, we would have to. I don't want to do that. I
Why?
mean, because it's very in depth and into every one of them. But
No.
anyways,
Have you ever heard of Typhoid Mary?
typhoid. Yes, I've heard of it. Yeah.
And do you know the story?
No. Go
It's
ahead.
a
Shoot.
woman who is
Mhm,
infected with typhus,
mhm,
right? And
mhm,
she killed a lot of people because she carried the illness and infected other people when she was
mhm,
working as a servant in kitchens, usually for wealthy families. And when she would work there, the families would die and they couldn't understand it. It took them a long time to figure it out. And she was moving from home to home to home. And when they finally figured out what the cause of it was her.
mhm.
She was carrying the disease, and everywhere she went, she was killing people.
Yeah,
So,
but Rick, in that case, they
but she never
studied it.
got sick. Never
No,
got
no,
sick.
but let me explain something. In that case, they studied it as to the root of the problem. Like in every murder case, you find out who the murderer is.
We know.
Okay.
Really?
You find out what the cause of death was. Okay.
Yes, we know what the cause of death was here with the ostriches.
Right? No. I'm saying you entertain science and everything into every case, if you want to call it a case. You know what I mean? The ostriches are a case. Okay. And in their case, in the last 9 months, I'm adding it to the equation that they look healthy, right? They're acting normal. They're acting normal. So in that time, they've proven themselves to be healthy, good-looking birds, as far as an ostrich goes.
Doesn't mean anything. They're claiming at the farm that the birds are healthy.
Why doesn't it mean something?
Because I've already explained why. These birds, ostriches in general, can appear to be healthy, but still carry the virus. They are efficient carriers of bird flu. Even when they are healthy, they don't even have to appear to be healthy. They can be completely healthy and still be carrying the virus after they have been exposed.
So they've beaten the virus then?
They're carrying the virus.
Well, I mean, I would imagine so. If you've beaten something, you're going to have some form of it still in your DNA, just like a cold. Just like a cold. But it doesn't mean you're sick.
Yeah, but they don't have to be sick to shed the virus.
If you beat a cold, do you still get killed because you beat the cold?
It's a different kind of virus.
It's an illness.
And Rudy, the cold never really goes away. And yes, you can still be shedding it, but people still do. But it's a different scenario because the cold virus doesn't have the lethality that the bird flu virus does, especially to chickens and other poultry products.
My problem in this, and I'll try to sum this up here, because I'll be getting darker and darker. But anyway, I'll just sum this up in my belief in this whole mess of this ostrich problem. Okay. Now, granted, and I'll say granted, okay, there was a lot of shadiness going on, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I mean, I'm not gonna try and say it doesn't exist, because it's quite possible it does exist. I mean, you look at every situation, there's always a little bit of shenanigans going on. But anyway, my belief in this is that these are innocent birds. Now, they got put on the hands of some shadiness and some exploitation, I believe, and it's not their fault. Okay.
They're livestock.
They're livestock, sure, but they're still a living creature.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I mean, as humans, we have this food chain thing going on. We slaughter cattle and we do this, we do that, but everything is supposed to be done humanely.
And it is being done humanely.
Well, that is a question. Okay.
No, it's not.
I would have to say that's a question because of what I've heard. Okay.
It has to be done humanely. It's against the law for them to do otherwise.
That
they always do it humanely.
That's something, again, okay.
And they won't be doing it using the whole law method. I don't.
We say that everything is being done humanely, but when you look at all these puppy mills and all this other shit going on,
that's another issue.
I mean, there's a whole lot of things. There's a whole lot of things going on that are questionable.
And puppy mills are generally illegal.
And it could be in anything. Okay, even ostrich farms, right? But getting down to it, the ostriches are an innocent little victim going on here. And I hate the fact that we're doing it in this way, okay? I would rather take a scientific approach.
It is scientific.
Well, no, if that's going to be tested, if they're going to be tested and let the public know exactly what is the deal here, I would think that that's more realistic, because you have an outcry here of the public saying, don't kill the birds.
The science
says. So where is the science
that
says from the CFRA that these birds are actually sick? They don't have it because they've never tested the birds, period. Okay, that in lies the problem. Okay, now, sure, you could say a lot of argument.
So from now on, you're going to test or whatever. If you do this, you have to test every bird every time you call any bird, period. You're going to do that?
Well, in this case, I would say they have to be tested because of this case. Yes.
Right. You can't make an exception because if you do it here, Every farmer then
No,
can
well,
say that they want the same thing.
they're going to Supreme Court.
Yes.
I mean, give them their day in court.
Sure. I'm all for that.
Okay.
And maybe they'll get it. Maybe they won't.
Everybody should be with legal process to go to the Supreme Court. Okay. But these guys are acting very malicious. They're getting ready to do it. Okay. Could happen tomorrow. Right? These guys want their due process in court. Let's give it to them. And let's give the ostriches a chance to explain to the public what the hell's going on. And they've done a lot of explaining in the last 9 months, right? I mean, you found out a lot of stuff about what they did and how they did it and stuff like that, right? They're not innocent in this, but the ostriches are, right? So I'm leaning more towards the ostriches as far as saving their lives in this whole mess than I am anything else in this. I mean, everything deserves a chance, right? Oh, are you back?
I want to know, you're going to go and talk to the other family farms in that area that are going to lose money because of all of this, that they maybe lose their
I have
livelihood?
been trying to get
Are
out
you
there.
gonna what are you going to
get out there.
say, Rudy, to these? What do you say to these other farms that have been affected, all in most of them in BC? And if you look at the map of where these bird flu outbreaks have been occurring, that farm in Edgewood is kind of at the center of it all. So
a lot of this has to come out yet.
And so these, talking about abuse, talking about due process, and fairness and victims, those other farms, those families, those human beings are victims in this. Their livelihoods have been affected. It's all at risk. And it goes far beyond that. It's the entire Canadian poultry.
I think that's what you're talking about. You're talking about bringing up the whole system because something isn't right. Because
they're trying to destroy it.
Well, are they or aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Well,
and even if that wasn't their intent, that is what is happening here. And
well, then we have to go scientifically
from these. This is scientific, and it's also
what's
legal.
Scientific? I haven't seen a graph of any of these other farms you're talking about.
I showed it to you the last time you were on the program.
Oh, of an area maybe.
Yes, and the PCZ zone. I just showed it on the show last night.
I didn't see that.
Control zone.
Yeah, I didn't see that. But I'm just saying
the documentation for the 3 countries. It's Taiwan, Japan, and I think Mexico. They're all restricting exports now from that area of BC.
I just hate to see exploitation on animals. Yeah, and that's what they're doing on these ones.
It's the farm owners, it's the political activists, it's the live streamers who are sucking up donations. It's all the people out there who are cashing in on this, who are exploiting those birds. And whether they live or die, they're going to continue to be exploited. They've been exploited from the beginning. They've been abused. They were allowed to die a horrible death back in December, 69 of them. All the rest of the flock suffered. And there's another flip side to the way to look at this too, which may also be valid science, which I don't really even want to explore, because they keep saying that these birds can save humanity and other animals because they have some sort of special immunity. But the other thing that's interesting is that they say the 69 birds that died were all new birds. And that when they got sick, they couldn't survive, but these ones did. And you know what that tells me? It tells me that those birds probably infected the new ones and killed them because they're efficient carriers of the disease. Now, that's a theory, right? A hypothesis, which I suppose we could explore if we were going to do more studies on them. But you want to talk about Frankenbirds, you want to talk about eugenics, you want to talk about messing with immune systems by injecting antigens into birds, you want to see where that leads, you want to see 69 dead ostriches, you're going to have to dig them up because they're on the farm there someplace.
Yeah.
Right? And so While they're saying that those birds are the ones that are going to save everything, those are the birds that might just be killing everything. They may very well be, and I think they are, frankly, Rudy, typhoid Marys, which is also why the CFIA policy, when you bring it up and you look at it, it says that, let me just see if I can find the exact language. And it is stamping out to minimize human risk. They had compliance issues. They didn't follow any of the rules, even after order, $20,000 fine. Current status, next steps. I want to make sure risks to export access. This is me talking about that too. Yeah. Mexico, Japan, and Taiwan. Yes. Currently restrict the import. So they can't sell all their eggs and things like even from chicken farms now to those countries. That's costing us all. So a $20 test is going to cost you a whole lot more than $20. It's going to cost us all huge, because this is going to be an assault on the system. Oh, here's two. Yeah. Okay. Open air stamping out. So CFI's National Center for Foreign Animal Disease identified that the current HPAI infection in these ostriches is a novel reassortment not seen elsewhere in Canada. This assortment includes the D13 genotype, which has been associated with a human infection in a poultry worker in Ohio. So there's the proof. I told you they did additional testing beyond an on-site PCR. A human case of H5N1 in BC earlier this year required critical care and an extended hospital stay. I want to find what they're saying about the stamping out. Maybe it's on the other page. Here it is here. Okay, I got to bring up the other page. All right, here we go. Bring this up. Stamping out and eradication measures. Our disease response aims to protect both the public as well as impact 6.8 billion. I wish I could find this more quickly. What they say is that if the birds have even been exposed, these ostriches, they are considered to be a high risk of infecting of spreading the disease. That's what the language says. I'm paraphrasing right now in the interest of saving time. But I've read this stuff, and it's all in here. And that is why. So if they exhibit symptoms, if they test positive, if they've been exposed and have survived, even if they survive, they're considered to be a high risk of spreading the disease, because ostriches are efficient carriers of bird flu. Carriers. They don't have to be infected, but they can still carry it, just like a typhoid Mary, where they can infect others and not be sick.
Okay, but this is going along the same lines as pit bulls. Okay, I mean, there was a big cry over pit bulls and their interactions in public. Okay,
yeah,
pit bulls. Okay, pit bulls, big dangerous dog, and they wanted to wipe out.
They don't want to wipe out all ostriches.
Just a minute. This got to the point of almost wiping out all pit bulls. Okay. And when reality came to surface here, it's the owners of the dog.
It's not the same issue at all. It has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, just a minute. Okay.
Nothing.
But it was the owner of the dogs, mostly, that was the problem, not the dog or the breed.
Yeah, well, the owners, these ostriches are a problem too.
All right. So what we had in that, okay, was a miscommunication of reality and whatever, okay? And that's why a bigger scientific angle has to be looked at with the way the CFIA is doing things. Because I don't believe that allowing this government organization to have the authority to walk onto any farm and claim that all of their livestock are sick for whatever reason,
they're not claiming proven it,
and needs to be killed.
They proved it with science.
Well, They
They
haven't
didn't just
tested
claim
these
it. The
birds.
farm owners are making
So
claims
there's no
that they can't
science.
back up with science. That's why they're losing in
Yes.
court.
But the thing is, though, the CFIA has not tested any of these birds, these living birds. Okay. That's the problem here. Okay.
No, Rudy, the problem is I think you're just not hearing me.
That in my aspect, that's the problem for me.
It says right here.
In my thing.
Here's the actual language so I can make the point. The depopulation of animals that are infected, suspected to be infected, or exposed to bird flu. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the stamping out of policy is about. So they don't have to. They know from the science that it's not just whether they have been exposed. It's not just whether they're sick. It's if they've been exposed as part of a flock, and even if they survive at this point, if they are seen to be a risk, then yeah, they might have to be culled. And in this particular case, especially in this particular case, that's the assessment. Because they're not even being kept properly in a proper facility.
I don't know. I still come back to the old way farmers do it.
I could even entertain.
I mean, if you take a sick animal out of the equation,
I could even entertain the argument, Rudy, that these animals don't have to be culled for the reasons that you're stating, that I've heard from other people on other podcasts, backed up by Dr. Pellick even the other day. Where they were showing CFIA policy, showing where there could be exemptions. Okay. Saying that, well, if they, well, exactly the kinds of things you're saying, they're not sick. And if they want to, they can quarantine them. That could be an option and treat them and quarantine them. The problem here is that isn't an option because the farm owners have not complied with quarantine orders, as I've illustrated. They have not followed any of the rules when they've been asked to do things like quarantine the area, not let people come near the birds for a while, to not let the birds come into contact with wildlife for a while. They didn't comply. They said, screw you. We're not doing any of that. They said, put up netting over they didn't do any of these things. So you can't then turn around and say, well, save them because we can quarantine them, because they didn't quarantine them when they were asked to. So in this particular case, even the exemptions don't apply, which is why they keep losing in court. And then they come back and tell the public the evil CFIA and the evil government this, and they're torturing the birds, and they just want to kill them because they want to kill the science. No, they haven't followed the rules. They were asked to quarantine, which could potentially have even led to an exemption. But if you can't trust them to quarantine the birds when they need to be quarantined so you can spare them, then how can you then say, well, we'll let them live because they can quarantine them when they've refused to do it? Doesn't apply. So they can't, they're not entitled to an exemption.
In this 9 months now, okay, if you're saying that the farm is as contagious as you're saying,
and Rudy,
they've been out there for 9 months.
The contagious aspect of it, even that flies out the window in on the legal side of it and the scientific side of it. Because where was I going with this? I've lost my train of thought because we're dealing with 5 things at the same time. They didn't quarantine them. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and rewind it. Too much information. They just are not. They haven't proven anything. They don't have any science. They're not following any of the rules. So while they had an opportunity, an exemption to show that their birds, that they are entitled. You say that you have to make an exception for them here, right? Just test them. Make an exception. They were given opportunities to show why their birds are unique. They've been given due process to prove why these birds should be spared because there's a unique case to be had here, or that they can be quarantined, or whatever the reasons might be. And they failed to provide any documentation. they just lost because they didn't have any real valid arguments, because they didn't follow rules, because they didn't keep records, because they didn't actually do any of the actual studies related to any bird flu, because when they were asked to quarantine, they didn't do it. When the birds started dying, they tried to hide it. They didn't even care about the welfare of the birds at the time, so they let them die like slow, painful deaths over a month and a half.
So what does this all amount to, do you think?
It amounts to the birds have been put into this position because of the farm owners, and because the way of the conduct of the farm owners. They're really backing the government into a corner on a public relations campaign that makes them look bad, makes the country look bad, makes the country look authoritarian, when in reality, the country is the process that we're going through here has been accommodating. The farm has been given due process. They're even accommodating, going above and beyond. They didn't have to say, okay, we'll take the food from you and feed these birds that food. I mean, they're accommodating everything, every aspect of this, while the farm is not playing ball. They are just full on assault, not going to follow any rules, don't give a damn, don't care about the welfare of the birds, while pretending that they're mostly concerned about the birds. They're actually putting small family farms in jeopardy because of their actions, while saying that they want to protect family farms. Everything with them is actually the opposite. And people are being lied to. And it's like a PSYOP / PR nightmare information warfare campaign. Because you've got all these paid streamers and other ones coming on just trying to get clicks, and it's just turned into this circus.
Yeah.
And the reason you can also tell that they're not being transparent, they're not really being truthful, is because they're controlling a narrative. They're feeding you specific chosen pieces of information to lead people to believe.
So let me ask you this.
But in reality, they're not talking about the COVID research. They're not talking about the genetics research. They're not talking about all these other things. All that gets left out. They only talk about this. But when they talk about the government can do no right. The government can't feed them. The government veterinarians don't even know how to give them water. They're so stupid, blah, blah, blah. And so they create this perception in people's minds, and it's all psychological warfare, because it's not about the damn birds. It's about the politics, and they don't care about the birds, and it's about the money. And if you're donating to them, you have to keep in mind here that they've got billionaires backing this, and they're still asking you to donate.
Now,
and if they win, it's more tax dollars to do, I don't know what kind of studies, because they haven't even defined that.
Okay, let me ask you this, though. Okay.
Yeah.
What if there was and I'm going to call it a proper recourse to these kind of problems, okay? You know what I mean? Where there's more remedy to the solution here, okay? And the solution is, if there's an obstacle, such as a farmer saying, don't kill, right? The remedy to this, okay, is to simply say, well, there's a reason, okay? And the reason is, and once you've done your testing, there's your reasoning, then it becomes very transparent as to the reason behind a call for a bunch of animals, okay? Because you do an extensive or an amount of testing. There's a responsibility.
They do that.
There's a responsibility, okay?
Yes.
This is an expensive operation, any farm, okay? Whether it be this or that, whatever. All farms, they put a lot of money into this property, okay? And it should be treated with due respect. Now, the due respect in this is this. If you're going to kill animals, there has to be a reason for it. It's against the law.
There has
to kill. There has to be a reason.
People keep saying there's no reason, but there's a reason.
All right? There's a reason here. So, the logical thing here is, if you test them and they test positive for this, whatever it is you need to kill them for, okay, is there in the test, then there you have the proof behind
They do
killing
test
a bunch of animals.
They do.
But
I already
that has
explained how the
not been
process
done
works.
with these
Yes,
ostriches.
it was done
No,
back in
not
January.
properly. I'm not saying that what they did was proper at all.
They were able to isolate the exact
On 2 dead birds, come on.
strain of the
And
virus.
these birds here are still alive and
Oh
healthy.
my God.
So that's the problem you're up against. They're not showing the
You're just
public.
going around and around in circles, and you don't really give
it's
a
a very
damn.
point blank thing.
You just like just test
Pull
them.
out
You got to test
pull
all
out
the
the
birds.
proof.
How many?
Pull
How
out
many,
the
Rudy?
proof.
How many?
Pull out the proof.
You test
of a
one, you're going to test
test.
millions.
Well, there must be remedy between the farmer and the government. Otherwise, we're looking at erasing all of our friggin' food supply. If there's no pushback on the government to explain scientifically what it is they're doing, okay, in transparency, and have proper lab testing and the rest of it, because we're entering into an era of problems for our society when it comes to measures of control. And that's the problem because of what the government's done. It wasn't something we wanted. They just did it.
It's the other way around. Everything is upside down, and people are falling for it.
But they did it.
It's
the government did it.
It's an outside government entity that is actually trying to exert control and influence over our system. It is them. They have been given. The government has treated the private property with respect because the system demands that. When they
not
were
in
gonna,
this case, I
yes,
don't think so.
yes, because they have been offered compensation to be made whole, or at least partial.
The government, we just spent how many? We just spent, I don't know what
given
the dollar
insurance for which they've paid nothing into.
I don't know what the dollar value is here. Okay, on what the CFIA has done already. I don't know what the dollar is with all the RCMP there and all the equipment there, the hay bales,
none of that would be happening,
transportation,
and
all
none
of it,
of that
the
would be
hotel
happening
costs.
if these people
had
followed the rules.
Just a minute. All of that cost, okay?
It's because of the farmers.
No.
Yes, it is.
No, because it's because of this thing they started saying they need to kill these birds. All right. They haven't done it properly.
You can challenge that without doing it this way. Do you know
why
all those
what they're doing in court?
Do you know
that's what they're doing in court?
The reason all those cops are down there is because you have Katie Pasitny appearing on a podcast within the last week. She's
on protesters.
No, it's worse. No, it's more than that. It's not just because it's a protest, Rudy. It's because Katie Pasitny appears on a podcast with some people, and a guy in particular, who is literally calling for people to pick up guns and go out to the farm. And while
no, you can't do that.
Oh, well, that's what is being done. And she went on the podcast. And I'm not saying and it's not just her. There are other people talking like that too. And so you see there is that element out there where some people would say they want and people are saying, turn it into a Ruby Ridge, turn it into a Waco. There are people with that mentality out there because it isn't just about the ostriches. It's about the politics. It is about private property rights and the way people view those issues. It is about government, the issue of government overreach, the way people view that. And while I'm not saying that all those protesters, or maybe even any of them out there, harbor or keep any of those thoughts or beliefs, inside them, or maybe they're thinking that way, maybe they're not, but the police have to assume or prepare for the very worst. And because there's been talk like that, and even Katie, when she was on that program, she was probably just afraid to push back against the guy when he was talking like that. And I don't think she wants that, but some people do. And he's calling for it. And she didn't really push back. And even if she had, because you've got people talking like that, that's why all the cop cars are out there. Because they're keeping the CFIA safe, the public safe. They're prepared for any eventuality.
Oh, no, I'm just talking about the cost of the whole operation.
I know, but the point is, none of this would be happening if they had just followed the rules. If they had just followed the rules.
Okay, but even though they didn't follow the rules, the big question they are bringing to the table is this, that their birds are not sick. That's what they're bringing to the table.
What they're saying is, Our birds aren't sick now. Look what we've done. We delayed this so long that they recover.
That's what they're saying.
And so they're saying anybody can do this. Just take it to court, drag it out for months on end.
Okay,
and you too don't have to follow the rules.
To diffuse this, okay,
Yeah.
those birds should have said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to test all these birds or half of them or something.
You can't do that.
And do that and then say, okay, here's the outcome of the test. Here is why we want the call.
If they do that, it creates a legal precedent and a policy
precedent.
That's
what it should be.
No, it shouldn't be.
Oh, of course it should be.
Why?
Because you're now entering into, if you don't ask questions,
it's not practical.
And you can't get the answers.
How many? Then the next farm comes up. How many birds do you test?
That's right.
How many?
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. You're just evading this. Okay.
I'm not evading anything.
When I'm saying to you, okay, if the government can just, or even a cop, okay, can come in and arrest somebody for no apparent reason.
No, they've got a reason when they arrest people, Rudy.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what about when they arrested?
When they said that they got arrested just for feeding the birds, that's not why they were arrested.
What about David Milgaard?
What about David Milgaard?
They arrested him.
They can make mistakes.
Okay. That's what I'm getting at. Okay. We're only human beings here. All of us. Okay. And that's very true. We can make mistakes.
You're conflating again. You're conflating.
No, I'm not. I'm being very pointful. All we're asking for in the public is transparency completely from this government. That's not too much to ask. Okay. I don't think so.
How many?
And what they've done is
the next time this happens, how many birds do you test?
They've blown this out of proportion by allowing it to go
I asked
to
you a
this
question.
extent.
The next time this happens, the next farm that is infected with bird flu, and it's going to happens a lot. How many birds do you test?
A certain percentage that's going to give you an even number.
What percentage?
I don't know. I'm not a scientist on this subject.
Well, they are scientists,
but I'm guessing
they're already doing
that.
But
I'm guessing if you tested a certain percentage of the flock and they did not have, then I would say you don't have that big an outbreak and it can be controlled within without killing the whole flock.
69 birds died. That's a lot.
Right? Yeah, but they were introduced. They were introduced. Right?
They died later.
But the other ones, they still remained alive.
Yeah, because they probably
they beat the
probably killed
disease. Them. No, the ones that stayed alive.
Yeah,
they must have
probably
beat the
infected
disease.
The ones that died because there's
no way to say that
before.
There's no way to say that for sure.
Yeah, because we know that they'd had die-offs prior to that.
It was not.
There were.
I certainly
Karen
don't
Esperson talked on the show about previous die-offs of birds.
Okay.
Over previous years.
Okay. But they never kept any records of their study of
this. Because they're not running a proper farm or a proper research facility.
Okay. So where do we know for sure how these birds got infected from what and what? Because they're not keeping any record of that kind of stuff, right? Right. So that's all unknown.
Which also increases the risk because we really don't know what the hell is going on.
It's unknown. It's an unknown thing.
It's an increased risk, not a decreased probability. And we know
that is more of the reason. And because of the shadiness, and let's not forget how these farmers got this antigen stuff and all this shit. Okay.
Oh, yes.
When you can't even get it. Okay. So they brought a lot of things to fold here regarding what the hell went down here with this farm. Okay.
I know, Rudy, we're going
in a lot of ways.
The real question then becomes if you do this, then with the next farm, how many do you test?
You would have to test a certain percentage.
Well, they did
the flock.
They already did that.
No, I'm talking about 30, 40 birds.
30, 40 birds out of how many?
Out of 100, I would say.
30%. So you have 1 million birds. You're going to test like 300,000. A million chickens? You're going to test 30,000?
Like I said, you're going to have to take a certain percentage to find out.
They do that now.
What you're dealing with.
There's science behind it.
So they should have done more of that with this case and did more testing
They
to
did. They went
satisfy
above and beyond the standard
to
protocol,
satisfy
and
not only
they
the
actually
farmers
sent samples
but the
to a lab,
public.
and then even isolated the specific type of virus.
Yeah, but not only the farmers, we're also talking about the public here too.
Yeah.
Okay, should be informed as to what exactly is, the case after an extensive testing and so on, to satisfy the public of what the hell's going on here. After all, it's our tax dollars putting this whole operation together
You're
and
pretty
paying
upset
for
about
it,
those
right?
cameras being cut, eh?
Oh yeah, I
Why?
mean, for sure.
Why?
Well, mistreatment is mistreatment, and that's a very big sign of I don't want to get caught mistreating the
Is that what it
animals.
is?
I
Is that
think,
why?
I don't know, could be. It's a possibility.
Remember what we talked about at the convoy?
I don't know what the expertise
Do
of
you
these
remember what we talked about at the
CFIA
convoy? What
people
did they
are.
want at the convoy, Rudy, at the end, the bad people?
The what?
When we were talking about the convoy before,
Mhm.
what in the end, what were the bad actors at the convoy really there to get?
Oh, it was a big publicity show for money.
Yeah, and what did they want? They
It
wanted a
was all part of the con job.
yeah, and they wanted a photo.
Oh yeah, they wanted the photo op of what
Right,
happened in the
the
end,
photo
because
op.
they wanted they
Exactly.
wanted the public to see
Uh-huh.
what happens when you come up against the government, baby.
Right.
Right?
Well, yeah. So why do you think that they put all
And
those
look at
cameras up?
look
Why do
at
you
what
think
these bills are
why
right
do you
now.
why do you think
Yeah.
the farm put up all those security cameras all over the place to begin with?
Mm.
Because they knew this was coming. And so
Mm.
they've got all these security cameras up to get what? What do they want? They want a
You're saying they want a photo op from all of this. Oh, don't tell me you froze again. You froze again. Wow, perfect timing. Well, that's speculation. I mean, I would have to say speculation. I mean, you're in wildlife conditions. They're out on a farm.
and here we go.
Cameras are a very common thing. You know, it's more speculation
Rudy, can you hear me now?
than anything. Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course they want the photo op.
Yeah, but that's speculation.
No, it's not.
Oh yeah, it's
The whole thing
country
has been a photo op.
conditions.
They've got the photo op right now. They got the scissor lift. They're getting up. They want to shoot photos over the
Well,
fencing.
they're doing that
CFIA,
because of
why don't
the no kill thing or the kill thing. People have a right to their opinion.
they have a right to their
Okay.
opinion? But why do you think they don't put a live feed in every abattoir where they're slaughtering animals all day before they go to McDonald's so people can eat their burgers?
Well, yeah,
Because
I
people don't want to
guess.
see it.
Yeah, well,
So what do they want those cameras up for? What are those cameras going to show?
I
What are
don't
they
know.
going to show? They're going to show the slaughter.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They put up these bales and they've made a kill box.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
cameras around that, except I
Yes,
mean you
they
can't even
got
see
cameras all over the place
on the outside of
because
it.
they
Yeah,
want to
you can
televise
see.
the slaughter.
Well, yeah, but there's no cameras
And when that's
inside.
going on, Rudy, I guarantee you're going to have all the live streamers with
Oh, I
cameras on.
would say sure.
And if,
Sure,
like,
I
say,
agree with you. I agree with
however
you.
they go about it, they're
Yeah,
going to try and record all this: the killing of the
whatever they
birds,
can.
the
Sure.
removal of the carcasses,
Yeah.
loading them into trucks.
Oh yeah, it's
And they're going to make it
it's
look like a huge horror show to horrify the public.
I mean it's an internet
It's
thing.
an internet spectacle.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, my
It's a
only
show.
avenue on this,
Yeah. My
only avenue on this. Okay. And you won't find any donation thing up or anything.
Yeah.
My only avenue on this is I feel sorry for the friggin' birds. I really do.
Well, sure,
Okay.
I do too, Rudy.
And that's my
I
only
feel-
avenue.
but
I
I'm
mean,
also-
whatever the
yeah.
farmers did, whatever
Rudy-
this did, or whatever. Okay.
Right.
Point of this is life is life.
We
Okay.
got to look at it. We have to look at I hate to say it, but a bigger picture here. Because it's
Well,
not
yeah,
just
I think it's about
because
time.
if you're concerned about those birds, as I am too.
As life, I mean,
Right?
any animal.
But you know what I'm more concerned about, Rudy? I'm more concerned about all those family farms. I'm concerned about the people who live in that community. A lot of them getting
I think
together.
they're concerned too.
They are, and they're opposed to what's going on there. And I've seen what they've been saying, and they don't like it. And I'm concerned about the family farms and the impact that this is going to have on them, not just on them, but also if this is allowed to proceed the way the protesters and the farmers want it to end, then this is going to hurt. This is going to put everything in jeopardy. And it's going to affect livelihoods. It affects our trading relationships. It may end up that the only country we are allowed to trade with is either ourselves or maybe the US if RFK Jr. manages to realign or rejig their policies on culling. But here's the thing, Rudy. While all this has been going on, do you know how many birds over the last 6 months have been culled in the United States alone?
No, I don't.
30 million.
30 million.
Is anybody down there protesting that?
No, I haven't heard anything.
And yet the U.S. government and RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz have been up here and exerting pressure on our government to rethink our policy on it, while they continue to cull on that side of the border. Look at what's going on over there first and clean up your own backyard before you create a circus like this in ours.
Well, just like the coal industry, you've got people trying to shut down the coal industry over on this side, but in China, they're producing 30 of them.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's a sort of a separate issue, but yes.
Yeah, it's a separate issue, but it's the same scenario.
Well, except that here you've actually got
something going on there that ain't happening here.
Actual pressure on our government because of what this money, this U.S. money, this U.S. political money, and big ag money, big oil money is doing out there. They're intentionally being disruptive. It's an assault on our country. This is a form of warfare, actually.
Could be, but we have to be the more. It could be, but we have to be. We have to be the smarter persons here.
We do indeed,
because I agree with you on that. Okay, there's a lot of bullshit going on in our country. Okay,
yep.
And I think
but there's a lot of. But in this case, Rudy, the bullshit is coming from the USA and specifically from these MAGA supporters like Castamatidis. There's another really rich guy involved. And these are all Trump MAGA supporters down in the States. And it's all because of Trump's tariffs and the efforts to get rid of like supply side management, Canada's food sovereignty. This is an assault on our food sovereignty. This is an attempt to get rid of marketing boards. It's like to get rid of tariffs on milk. This is all related to that. It's also about tariffs on poultry. This is a place for them where this was a sensitive point in which to drive like a wedge and then light it on fire.
All over the life of an ostrich.
Because this
all over the life of
an ostrich. Because
okay,
it's
now,
got all the elements.
Do you understand how insane this sounds?
Oh, okay. I do.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, and I just said, okay, if there are these attacks in our country, on our country,
yes,
and we can recognize what's going on here. Okay, and in a lot of ways, I do see what's going on because when the WHO stuff into our shit, I mean, that tells you right there. Okay, there's a lot of influence that isn't proper, and it's coming in.
These birds, don't forget all this stuff going on out there. There's that, the World Economic Forum
has got a hand in it.
It's got a hand in that.
With the got a hand in that,
and now here you are, concerned about all of that, concerned about the COVID research, concerned about the mandates, right? And now you're supporting the very farm that was trying to cash in on the COVID mania with the products.
No, my stuff says save the ostrich, not save the farmer.
You save those ostriches, it's the same damn thing.
Well,
and worse.
The ostriches are the ones
because
that
it
I'm
isn't
concerned with.
about the ostriches.
You know, they're a bird, they're an animal.
They're using the ostriches as a martyr, as martyrs, and that's why they're personifying
they should have
them.
diffused it instead of letting it get out of hand like this.
They tried to.
How?
They tried to deal with it straight up, just quietly. Usually, when they go in for a
they're
call,
acting like a big brother organization.
Usually, when they
they're acting like a big government organization.
No. Listen.
Yeah.
The standard procedure is they don't even publicize the name or location of a farm or a cull is going on usually.
But this one is.
Yes, because who publicized it? Not the CFIA. The farm owners, the political activists, Rebel News.
Yeah, they piped up.
Oh,
and they started it, and then I got into it.
Yes.
Right?
Because because they got you, emotionally attached like everybody else. But it's not the CFIA. Wasn't the CFIA. It wasn't the government.
Yeah.
Because they want to usually protect the farm owners from any kind of embarrassment, because a lot of them are like, we don't really want people to know that we've had the bird flu here. So they do it quietly to protect the identity of the locations. That's why it's sometimes hard to find like an exact map of where these things have taken place. But in this case, this blew up. They turned it into a PR fiasco, into an information war, and into a giant grift, and all of these things, because it's been political from the very beginning. It's been a setup.
We have to take a full look at that kind of stuff going on for sure.
Oh yeah. So, as far as I'm concerned, I can see very clearly where it's all going, man. But
anyway, I got to take off, Rick. So
yeah, me too, Rudy. I appreciate
being on again, and it's always good to explore this because there's a lot of questions around it.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of involvement, and I feel sorry more for the birds than I do anything else.
Yeah, but we can't be.
They're caught in the middle of this.
Yeah, but this should not be about emotion. This should be about facts.
It should never have gotten to this point, though, I think.
Yeah, but
it should never have gotten to this point where this misinformation shit
and it's the big U.S. money, and it's the activists and the people profiting from it, and it's all of that. That's
that's natural.
Yeah, but
it's out there, man.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I mean? It's become a circus in a way, but the end result is the ostriches are at stake here, for life.
Oh,
yeah. So, okay. Till next time.
Okay.
I'm Rudy Bruce, and I'm just getting the word out there.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a great
night. You're
welcome.
Rudy. You have a good night, Rick.
You too. See ya.
Okay, take care.
And that was Rudy Bruce. He's putting all kinds of stuff out on the internet trying to save the ostriches. So, hope that helped you. I don't need to talk about it anymore here tonight because I think we exhausted that. What am I going to leave you guys with here tonight? I know. Hang on. Well, the ostriches in Edgewood. They, well, what is going on? I missed my file. Let's try this one more time. I am looking for what I want. I'm not sure it's there. It seems to have disappeared. Well, we'll just have to give you something else. Don't know where my song went. I was going to give you the, in Edgewood, they eat their pets. But I don't see it there. Do I have it? No, I don't think I do. Okay, I'll find it. We'll run it another night. I'm sure the story's not gone away yet. But out there, I'm pretty sure I know it's real. I don't know if anybody else does, but there's a whole lot of stuff out there that seems to be fake. This is one of my favorite tunes to date from Maverick and the News Brothers. And I should go over the lyrics on this with everybody because I spent a lot of time on the lyrics. I think the lyrics on this are the best ones I've written so far. I hope you enjoy it. It is. It's all fake. See you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side.
Biden's about, Charlie's alive. Elvis flips burgers on the Lower East Side. 10 Trumps mask up on your phone. Shilling mean coins by remote drone. Graphene needles in your veins. Chemtrail sugar fries your brain. George Floyd's American hologram pie. Don't trust your lying eyes. It's all fake. It's all fake. The moon is a hoax. Give your head a shake. It's all fake. It's all fake. Your mama's a lizard. Your daddy's a snake. Bigfoot codes, the Mossad plan. Flat Earth truckers fighting the man. Dinosaurs guard an empty fed vault. Truth is dead and it's the media's fault. Conspiracies are real, let it sink in. Time travel, JFK is president again. 9/11's a VR game. The elite cut deals in the devil's name. It's all fake. It's all fake. From the jab to the pills that you take. It's all fake. It's all fake. The Pope's in a bunker with Q as his mate. Your phone's a snitch. Your dog's AI. The king eats penguins in conspiracy pie. JFK Jr., Cobain, and Tupac. They ain't dead. They're all coming back. It's all fake. It's all fake. Every headline, every handshake. It's all fake. It's all fake. FBI, CIA, KGB, ABC. Are you awake? Don't believe your lying eyes. It's all fake. It's all fake.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.